thefanatic.com.
Thank you, Kyle Schwarber. It was very nice of you to do that for the Phillies last night. Can't wait to talk about a Phillies victory today. And, of course, it is game day. Preseason week number 2 for the Eagles. Will we see the starters? Do you want to see the starters? And a lot of conversation on Jalen Hurts following our conversation with Dan Orlovsky yesterday. A busy day ahead of Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
I believe it would be a failure for the Philadelphia Eagles, the 2024 Philadelphia Eagles, if they do not win the NFC East. The Eagles have had a quiet training camp.
And to me, I look at it and say, it's wonderful to have peace and serenity out in South Philly.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Thursday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man John Kincade. Johnny, good morning.
I would say it is a gorgeous way to start the day.
Beautiful morning outside. It is a Wendy's Thursday morning, so
that makes it better.
It will be a beautiful day inside and also inside my belly. And, of course, we're following a Phillies victory. Believe it or not, they can still put things in the win column. With a win over the Marlins last night, 9-5. But I will tell you the truth, John.
What?
When they were down 3-0 in the first, I was ready to go scorched earth, dude. I believe Connor Thomas said, and I quote, "I'm not coming into work tomorrow." This was when they were down 3-0, Mr. T-shirt.
Hey, this is a button down. Be nice.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. I'm confident about my shirt. They're down 3-0. He didn't want to come into work. And you know what?
That's pathetic.
John? I didn't either.
Well, I will tell you that I've documented proof that I said Philly's going to win 9-5.
You said that?
They were down 3-0, and I turned and I said, they're going to win 9-5. Bats are coming alive tonight.
Did you live bet the final score? Because you would have made a lot of money, sir.
I did bet the over last night.
Okay, well, that's
which
good.
worked well.
Congratulations.
I did bet over total bases for Kyle Schwarber.
That hit probably on one swing of the bat.
Which came out pretty well. I also bet over on Marsh for over half a hit, which was which ended up being a winner. And Stott over half a hit.
How about that? Bryson Stott, 2 for 3 with a walk yesterday.
There you go.
After I yelled and screamed about how he shouldn't be in the 5-hole, to the point where I even tweeted out yesterday that he should not have been in the lineup yesterday. He had a good day yesterday, so good for the Phillies. They get the win. Great day for JT.
That was a big moment for him. Because as we're sitting in the stands, thanks to Philly Sports Trips last night, had a great time at the Italian-American night and Philly PR girl, and a great night out to park with my daughter. It was like there was a tension in the building last night.
Well, when they're down 3-0, of course there's a tension.
Bad.
And then when they're down 5-2, because they score 2 runs. And then in perfect Phillies fashion, this time instead of it being Arenolo's, Tyler Phillips' turn, you get some runs back, and they go, you know what? Let's give him some runs back to make this even more fun. And it's 5-2. And if not for Kyle Schwarber in the Grand Slam, I don't really know how this game plays out. But he hits the Grand Slam, and it changed everything. I got to say this,
How did the Kyle Schwarber Grand Slam happen, though? It only happens because Johan Rojas beats out a ball.
Yeah, he does.
In an infield hit that nobody else on the roster beats out.
Okay. Yeah.
He beats it out, which gets
other guys on the roster hit it out of the infield, but
gets him to the plate. No, but he's the guy they worry about.
I know.
Well, everybody else can't hit. He's the guy they worry about.
Right. Oh, I mean, there's just a lot of guys on this roster that I go, I wish there are improvements to, which is why I want to trade every prospect in the world, and then I get yelled at. So the Phillies win yesterday. I will say this. The fans have not been the problem, man. I look back. I think back to that Yankees game. Remember when they ended up losing in extra innings? In the 12th
right.
game this year.
Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of Rojas, he
sure.
The pass ball, he scores. When Johan Rojas scored that pass ball, the Phillies weren't playing well at that point either.
They were not.
And the place was electric. And I was like, all right, come on. This is when the season turns around. And they ended up losing that game. Last night, Kyle Schwarber gives them the lead. The place was once again electric. Like, the Phillies fans have not been any bit of the problem of this downfall right now for the Phils.
I can tell you this, though. First and second inning, they were booing.
Good.
And Tyler Phillips has received nothing but hero support here.
Right.
He was getting booed. and it was strong.
And it may not have been him individually.
No.
It could have been the team. Like, let's face it, Tyler Phillips isn't Zach Wheeler.
And then second and third inning, when he came back and stabilized things, people cheered.
Yes.
So I thought it was a very fair crowd, but there was a visible energy and exhale when Kyle Schwarber hit the grand slam.
Oh, I imagine.
That whole building just went berserk.
Went nuts, yeah.
And then it was everybody. It's almost like happiness went back in.
Yeah,
Right.
with 2 outs, too. Like, that's such a spot.
It was so
where,
huge.
I mean, honestly, my only thought is you're lucky to have Kyle Schwarber up in that spot. Good thing he was batting leadoff.
Yeah, that's the good math. Yeah, it's really. Yeah, that's
We're gonna get into
Just
that.
saying,
We're gonna
boys.
get into that
That
later
is
because
really
it's
good.
the
Just
most,
saying.
it's probably the dumbest logic ever,
We'll
and I
get to
expect more out of you, Mr. Baseball. But a great job out of the bullpen last night. Matt Strahm shutout inning. Jeff Hoffman strikes out the side. Jose Alvarado
Still
which is
scary.
Still scary, but at least he gets out of it, even though he allowed 2 base runners.
And I thought Estevez was a little bit more. I don't know. I expected a little more. He was supposed to be Mr. Clean.
Well,
Like-
the other day, he gives up the home run, which is his first earned run allowed in
Which you're
24
not gonna-
innings,
which is
or
going to
whatever.
happen.
Yeah, and that inning, that home run he allows, I think he still had a 5-pitch inning that day.
He did.
It was the game 1 of this series, right? They had a
He
5-pitch inning, and one of those pitches was a home
out of
run.
the park.
Yeah, it was amazing. So we'll see how he ends up playing out. I still like the addition. You traded prospects
I.
that no one's ever going to remember. All right, so we'll talk about the Phillies as the show continues. Good win last night. It's a good feeling. Waking up this morning, knowing that I was coming into work in a better mood, put a smile on my face. Right, like yesterday,
It wasn't the Wendy's.
Dude,
Be honest.
the Wendy's helps. But yesterday, I gripped the steering wheel. Like the whole drive in.
Not very strongly, as we saw by your
Of course
grip.
not. I was gripping the steering wheel out of frustration, out of anger, knowing what we were going to talk about yesterday.
It's the truth.
Today's better.
It
Today's
is.
like,
It's a better day. And now, can they? I need to see it now with the Nationals.
Let me make this clear. They're not out of it.
Nah.
No, I don't believe they are either.
I'm just saying I'm happy that they won a freaking ball game. And then I saw Kyle Schwarber hit a grand slam and the place went nuts. They are not, last night was the turning point. No, I can't say turning points anymore. Thought I've seen a couple turning points, and it goes right back to where they were.
I need to see a Wheeler effort tonight. He's been amazing. He's a top 5 ERA guy.
Yeah.
I need to see him keep this rolling. And then we see Captain Gopher Ball on Friday, see what he can do. And then Christopher Sanchez really needs to show us something. This is a series. You have your top 3 starters
Against a horrible
going
baseball
against the Nationals team you got to take care of. And then, of course, your friend Cole Irvin on Sunday.
I can't wait to see.
On Sunday.
it's a-
3 lefties they'll be
Mr.
facing
Meatball.
to start this series.
Be interested to see what Rob Thompson does with the lineup.
Oh, yeah. Well,
against,
I mean,
against the left.
His message yesterday was huge.
Dude, we'll get into that later. Trust me.
His message, he is just, I swear to you, I've said it before. So many things he does well, but man, it's like I wouldn't pick him in a game of Connect 4.
Yeah.
His strategy is really
We'll get into it because they did win yesterday, but I was a little surprised as well by the starting line. But we'll get to that
such
later on.
innovation.
Hey, Phillies win.
It's unbelievable.
Oh, happy day. All right, so it's also game day.
Yeah.
Preseason week number 2 for the Philadelphia
No
Eagles.
green. No green on today. I expected you to wear some green today.
I told you I dressed up for Wendy today.
I know you did.
The Eagles
You're
are
not dating the woman.
Don't look at me. I'm locked into wearing this shirt.
The Eagles are in Foxborough taking on the Patriots tonight, preseason week number 2. And once again, we don't know what the plan is. Last week, we thought that the starters may play, but we weren't sure because Nick Sirianni never announced it because for whatever reason, if we had Jeff McClain on earlier this week, he said, I don't know why they keep everything such a secret. I get during the regular season competitive advantage, certain things, even though I do think Nick Sirianni is a little overboard with it, but fine, whatever. If you think there's any bit of an advantage that the team can get from any of your answers, so be it. It's the freaking preseason, dude. You don't need to keep things close to the chest. And everybody said that the weather was fine. He blames the weather condition for the offense not playing, but then doesn't care that the defense played. It's all a bunch of baloney, whatever. But the same story is this week. We won't know until I guess the game starts about whether the Stars are playing or not. Remember, last week they warmed up. They were in pads before the game against the Ravens.
And I have, let's put it this way. I was told by someone yesterday that it was a surprise to various members of the Eagles offense that they did not get to take the field. Now, I do not know. Again, I am not reporting anything. I'm just telling you that it was a surprise to them.
Dude, it was listen, I do the pregame show, so obviously I have to listen to some stuff on my way home before, when the game's getting ready to kick off.
Absolutely.
I would say some broadcasters, local broadcasters, were shocked that the starters weren't playing. And obviously they're in meetings and all that kind of stuff. So I was surprised too. The question is, John, do they play tonight? And do you want them to play tonight? And I know we just had the discussion last week, and I know we had the topic about whether people care or not. But let's face it, this is the last chance. They're not going to play in preseason week 3. We know that for a fact. That they're not going to play. Well, I guess I shouldn't say fact,
game.
but I have a strong feeling that they're not playing in preseason week number 3. Are they playing in preseason week number 2? I'm going to guess that they're not because of the joint practice thing, and they talk about how much the joint practice is just as valuable, if not more, than the preseason game because it's a controlled environment, which I hate because NFL games aren't controlled environments, but whatever. But you have heard enough that they value these joint practices more than the preseason games at this point in the NFL, whether you agree with that decision or not. I know you want them to play with the starters tonight. I know you do.
No, there's not even there's not a question because you know what I would like? Again, one thing I value is consistency. It's the number one thing I value. And this is exactly what he said they was going to do this year. He said he was going to change things up. He said he was going to be if I had it to do over again, I would have played the starters last year.
He said after the Patriots game last year.
You ain't playing a bad Patriot. You're not playing the second worst team in football this year to start your season.
Yeah.
You're playing a team that some people are picking to make to the NFC title game. So, to me, I want Nick Sirianni to be consistent, and I want the starters to have their series. So, the first one is not a Friday night in Brazil.
So, I want them to play as well. You know that. You know how I feel about that. I believe.
But why do you want it? Like, is it the same reason I do? I don't
want to see them down 14-3 at halftime against the Packers, and then everybody go, "Oh, maybe they should have played in the preseason." When I say this all the time, and then I go, "Yeah, hello." Oh, the first 4 weeks of the season, continuation of the preseason. Yeah, it's great that last year you played trash teams to start the season. You're not playing a trash team in week 1. But anyways.
Patrick Mahomes, by the way.
I know.
This is what we do. This is how we prepare.
Right.
Anything coach tells us to do, we do.
But you know what,
Period.
John?
Period. The best coach in the game. And Patrick Mahomes, best player in the game. Yeah. I'm playing in preseason because coach tells it. Now, he won't be playing again, I wouldn't think.
I don't think so
He's
either.
done now.
They do it one and done.
But he's done.
My thing is, John, as much as I want to see it.
Oh, no, don't tell me you're doing this to me.
No, as much as I want to see it, I don't think they're going to play tonight. And I believe that so much that it's to the point where I'm already not upset.
Okay,
about
why? Why are you in that camp this morning? You think he's, honestly, why do you think he would backtrack on that? It was the field, remember? It was the field.
And now this is joint practice week. They worked really hard.
They had one joint practice.
I know,
What the hell is he talking about?
Dude, that
is ridiculous.
I would not be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Look, I'll say this. I will be more surprised if they do play tonight.
Oh, my gosh, really?
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I'm a John.
I think they're playing. I think
you
they're
playing.
I think they're playing, but I'm going to tell you this. I will be more surprised if they don't. Because, again, then Nick Sirianni, if I got to put up with the word salad, then make it mean something.
Well, you made the point yourself that if Vic Fangio wants the starters to play, Vic will get what he wants.
And
if Kellen Moore agrees with Nick Sirianni that we don't need to play the starters.
Oh, no, you're right. And the partial blame would go to him because Nick let that out of the bag.
He did.
He did. Vic let it out of the bag. That he had to ask Nick Sirianni and get permission to have the starters play. So it tells us a little bit more about the dynamic in just a passing comment. And then we heard it from Jeff McClain that was the case.
And Jeff McClain also said, I can't believe they're so secretive about all this kind of stuff.
Nick Sirianni thinks everything is a scene from Mission Impossible. I mean, like he makes things so complex that are so simple.
Just
and
like even his answers, like
Oh my
just
gosh.
freaking get to the point, dude.
just answer a damn question for God's sakes. And I'll tell you right now, I'm going to be really disappointed if I don't see starters play tonight.
Here's Tim McManus with the best show ever yesterday, talking about whether or not the Stars would play, and if they don't, he goes up against his own word. Nick Sirianni does.
If they don't end up playing their offensive starters at all, it's a departure from what Sirianni said after Week 1 against New England last year, where he said, if I had to do it all over again, I would play my starters. He had an opportunity to do that in the first week, and he decided against it, and weather was cited as one of the factors. However, the weather wasn't bad enough for the defensive starters to not take the field. So to me, that sends a mixed message. The field's good enough for your defensive guys, but it's not good enough for your offensive guys. I don't know that I like that overall message of what that says to the players. Like, the offensive guys are a little bit more important type of thing. And I also think that if you have it in your mind that it was too sloppy last year, that you needed the reps, and then you don't ultimately give it to your offensive players, then that's kind of going back on what your instincts were telling you.
Absolutely.
It does. There's no excuse.
Hey, no lies detected out of Tim McManus there. And I haven't even thought about the importance part. Like, oh, what you think the offense is more important? You don't mind throwing us to the wolves?
You know what's funny is I didn't think about that either.
I just laughed when I said, wait, the field was bad for the offense, but not bad for the defense. I didn't think about it that way. Like, and I wonder, I doubt it. I really do doubt it, John. But there might be a certain one player out of 53 guys, right? You split it as much
feels
down
that way.
Somebody goes, oh, really? Like, Jalen doesn't have to play, but I have to play on the defensive side of the ball?
And also, too, there's a lot of people that will probably say, yeah, do you want to end up like J.J. McCarthy? J.J. McCarthy was not injured in a preseason game.
Right.
He was getting treatment for that knee all through minicamp and into training camp. He was already injured. It had nothing to do with him playing in that preseason game. So stop using that as a crutch of like, well, he shouldn't play. You want him to end up like him? No, it's not the case.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, people have to realize that he was already hurt.
He was already hurt. They just didn't. They didn't know.
Well, it's also just a stupid argument because, like, injuries can happen throughout the preseason at any time. One proof of injury is not news for how we evaluate the preseason.
I know,
like,
but people don't want to hear that, and people.
Well, they need to.
But
they do need to.
Connor, this is what guys like Bill say and Andrew DeCecco say, and Shefty to an extent. And I understand the logic. This is not something that I could say you're wrong in thinking this. I just don't. Again, playing in the preseason, I've said this a couple times to you guys this week when we've been talking about it, and last week. There is no statistical evidence on either side.
No,
right?
There's no science on one side. There is no science that you're going to have less injuries if you don't play your players in preseason.
Well, less injuries in the preseason if they don't play.
No, there's no, because the players get injured in practice.
I'm not even the injury thing. I'm saying there's not really statistical evidence of how well you're playing at the start of the season. Like,
right?
The Eagles didn't play in the preseason last year, right? They stunk out of the gate, even though they won games. The Kansas City Chiefs did play in the preseason last year. They stunk out of the gate.
Yes, they did.
They lost games, right? So, and obviously schedule plays into it. So there's no real evidence. There's no real data. Maybe there might be soon, because we're only about 5 years into this since Sean McVay started doing it. 20 years down the line, we can have this conversation. When we're having the show. When the show's still together 20 years from now.
Oh, guess what? You're waking up at 4 in the morning. I'm not.
But my point is, the guys like Andrew DeCecco and Bill Colarulo and Adam Schefter and callers and tweeters and texters, well, I'd rather them get hurt in a regular season game because at least it matters. And that's the thing where I go, man, to your point, Connor, an injury can happen at any time. Injury can happen walking up the steps.
Right.
Like, whether it's preseason, regular season, really? Like, I don't want Jalen Hurts to get hurt in preseason week number 1, but if he gets hurt in regular season week number 1, at least I can live with that one. No, your season's over regardless.
Well, I would tell you, it would feel worse to me if he did get injured in the preseason.
Yes, I
really
agree.
would. I'm being honest.
I get it.
I'm being honest, is that would bother me more, but I still want him to play.
But it's not, like, if he got hurt in the preseason, unless it was egregious, like Jalen Hurts was playing in the fourth quarter against guys that were trying to make a name for themselves, so they take a cheap shot and it blows up his knee. all right, that's one thing. But if Jalen Hurts in the first quarter of a preseason game and Lane Johnson gets beat.
Oh, please don't put this in the universe.
No, like,
we know
don't
what
even
you're going
articulate
for.
it. Don't
okay,
articulate
fine. If quarterback A
he'd get crushed.
If something
I'm
happens
telling you,
to
something
quarterback.
happens.
to a quarterback, period, because an edge rusher beats the right tackle, that can happen in a regular season game. Why should I care about whether it be in the preseason or the regular season?
By the way, I ask that the football gods disregard that last 30
Yeah,
seconds.
dude, I can't believe you got that close to saying what you were going to say.
I can't live in fear like a lot of people
Well, you're
do.
making everybody
Welcome to
scared this
Philadelphia.
morning.
You should.
Okay.
I'm telling you, they may make you move if something happens tonight. That's what, Billy. You may
That's
end up
if they-
being
that's
right.
if they even
You
play.
may end up being right.
All right, do you want to see them play in the preseason? Do you believe that they'll play in the preseason game tonight? 610-632-0975. And coming up next, we spoke with Dan Orlovsky yesterday. It was a great conversation. Hurts was down on his list after his play last season. I want to react to something that he said yesterday that's going to lead to probably conversation the rest of the show. And, of course, it's about Jalen Hurts. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phils snapped the
On this Wendy's Thursday morning, which means a $50 Wendy's gift card will be out the door at some point this hour. We have 4 $50 Wendy's gift cards to give away. The Wendy's breakfast burrito has taken the nation by storm, at least the Delaware Valley, for the people that listen to Kincade and Salciunas. Every week now I get a tweet or a text from a buddy or somebody says, hey, man, I tried the burrito the other day. It's because I was listening to Kincade and Salciunas. So the power of radio works at least for burritos, Johnny.
Well, everybody's hungry, so.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
by the way, you do wake up. You've been talking about the smile all morning. Magic number in case we haven't been able to update it much.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
37 going into action today.
Actually, you have been able to update it because the Braves keep on losing games. The Mets keep on losing
Braves
games. I know
keep
the
on
Braves
winning.
won. No, the Braves won. I'm saying, like, up until
then,
recent 3 games they've won, the number kept on ticking down even during the Phillies' collapse.
you have 6.5 weeks of baseball left, and your magic number's 37.
Yeah, they're fine.
They're fine. And hopefully this week, take off a few more. I'd like to see the lead be 7 going into Atlanta for that
That'd be nice.
3-game set.
Yeah, that would
and
be
then all
awesome.
you got to do is just win one and go,
Yeah.
we won one.
Yeah.
You picked it up.
We're fine.
It's fine.
All right, so we're reacting to the Phillies win, and we're also talking about the preseason week number 2. Do you want to see the starters tonight, yes or no? Apparently, I scared people on the text line, Connor. Is this true?
Well, you almost gave a vivid description of a potential Jalen Hurts injury. So that does bother a couple people.
We stopped you from yourself.
How is that vivid? Like, it's football.
It was
Come on,
vivid.
dude. You've been around sports long enough.
The minute you started
football.
to say it, Connor, I know you're going to say it too. The minute he started saying it,
Yeah.
I'm seeing it.
When I heard Lane Johnson's name, I was like, we got to stop this guy.
I'm seeing it. People are weird, superstitious about stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just,
All right,
we're
fine.
saving you from
Fine.
yourself.
Jared Goff is dropping back to pass, and Penei Sewell allows a guy to get off the edge, and his leg gets hurt.
Oh.
All right, is it better because it's not Jalen Hurts?
You
No,
could
it's
just
just-
say, like, could you
Oh,
imagine if an
quarterback.
injury
Injuries
happened?
can happen in week 1. They can happen in preseason week
That's
number
not
2.
the argument. You don't need to describe it
All right.
around the
It's just
franchise quarterback.
look, I get it. I understand. Again, I understand why people say I would rather somebody get hurt in the regular season than a preseason game. At least I could understand because it was a game that mattered. But, man, preseason week 2, week 1, what's really the difference?
Now, can I ask you this? Like, let's say the starters go out and play a series tonight, and they get like 1 first down, and then they punt it away, and they look all right. Like, I want them to play, so I'm on your guys' side. But do you wake up tomorrow saying that made a difference?
Yes. Because
Why?
I believe going into a regular season game with some stuff under your belt, just feeling comfortable. I have said this numerous times, and I'm so glad that Jeff McClain said it to us on Tuesday, that it's a controlled environment. It's just as competitive. No, the quarterback cannot be touched, whether it's Eagles going up against each other 7-on-7 or joint practice with the New England Patriots. Jalen Hurts has that in the back of his mind. The defensive edge rushers, defensive tackles have that in the back of their minds because they know that they're not going to go after Hurts and start an all-out brawl because they hurt a guy wearing a red jersey. The speed gets cut, maybe not in half, but it gets cut down pretty drastically. I saw a play the other day. Oh, they're doing 7-on-7s. And Saquon Barkley hit the hole, and everybody put their hands up because they didn't want to tackle him, because they don't want to touch each other. Nobody wants to get hit in practice anymore.
I don't understand, other than just the X's and O's of where you need to be, how it's truly beneficial. Like the idea of watching them in these, even the joint practice yesterday stuff, the video.
It doesn't do anything for me.
It doesn't look like it looks like actors are being put on a stage going, okay, let's act out. You're gonna stand here, and that's when you're gonna pull out the gun, and you're gonna threaten the character. Like they're pretending.
Yeah.
This is where you're gonna do
And by
it.
the way, the coaches, like Sirianni basically tells on himself. When they say, like, he was asked about it, I remember last week or something, about the importance of joint practices, right? And he didn't say, yeah, man, we don't know what they're going to be throwing at us, and they don't know what we're going to be throwing at them, and this is the best way to learn. No, you know what he says? Competition, toughness, like his buzzwords that he always uses. He basically says it's more competitive. Okay, that doesn't mean you're learning anything. You're just being more competitive.
It doesn't yet.
Like, that doesn't mean anything. Just because a day of practice is more Last night, we played pickup basketball. We played every single Wednesday. We had a couple of new guys show up. It was much more fast, much more competitive. One team kept on winning. It wasn't actually it wasn't great basketball, right? Like it
probably was for them. So the Eagles are the team that keeps winning.
But that's what I'm saying. Like
so you guys sucked? Is that
that's exactly what it is. Enjoy practice, like
team sport.
The team's wearing a red jersey. Like quarterback's wearing a red jersey.
So your team sucked.
You can't hit them.
Yes.
Shut up! You can't hit the quarterback, and so that slows everything down. And if a player's not going to finish a tackle, that doesn't learn it. You don't learn anything this way.
Dude, we're on your side.
We're with you on this.
We want them to play.
But he doesn't think it's happening.
I don't think it's going to happen.
And I think it is.
And it bothers me.
I think it is.
But it also bothers me, the people that are so pro. Like, I love Andrew Pacheco, okay? Before anybody thinks there's a beef, I can't wait to talk to him today at 8:10. He is so on one side. I see both sides. He is so on one side about, you can't play anybody in the preseason.
Gotta have the skirts.
And it's like,
he wants, you remember shirts and skins? DeCecco wants shirts and skirts. That's what he's looking for.
Well, if there was a side to be completely on, it would be the side to not play. Because you know for a fact, like, if you don't play guys in the preseason game, there is a 0% chance that they're going to be injured in a preseason game. They could still get hurt in practice.
You're right.
But that is the way to deliver safely guys through the regular season as sure as you can be. There's no 100%.
You're right. And you know what? That's great. And that I see that side, right? But I can also say, we got them to week one healthy. They didn't know how to play, but we got them to week one healthy.
Last year, we saw it. And Nick Sirianni, and great job pulling that audio up the other day, Andrew.
When he himself said it.
He said it. If I had it to do over again, I would have had the players out there getting some snaps in the preseason. They were not prepared for the regular season, and they almost choked away a game in New England against a bad football team. And and honestly, in that game you had a pick six. And
Zeke fumbled on the second drive.
Right.
Like they were up
gifts.
early.
And they had gifts.
Yes.
That helped them win that game.
Do I believe playing in the preseason correlates to Super Bowl? I don't. Do I believe going down 0-1 to start the season and it's against a conference, not rival, but a team that's going to be...
this is a big one.
This is a team that will be fighting for that top seed in the conference. Do I believe that's important? Like being down 0-1 or being up 1-0 and beating one of those teams? I think that's very important.
You already know. I'll never forgive Jeff Lurie if they put, this game goes the opposite way.
Yeah.
I'll never forgive it. But also, too, if they go out and play a shaky game where they don't look clean and they don't look set on opening, and he rests says, we didn't need the work on offense. That arrogance to ignore his own lesson that he learned last year. Again, I'll never forget it.
See, I don't think that's fair, right?
Why?
We need to be realistic about our own reasoning because we've all come to the agreement that playing or not playing has not affected the Eagles' ability to be good or not good at the start of the season. We're looking at last year and them starting slow and saying, we wish they would have played in the preseason.
And what was one of the excuses? Oh, well, it was a new coordinator.
And the coach.
I got you.
Do we not see two new coordinators this year?
We do, but it's different. We're not looking at Brian Johnson and Sean Desai the same way we're looking at Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio. We're not, and if you are, you're crazy.
I'm just going to use the coach's words. He told us the importance of it. He told us that there was a problem that they didn't do it.
Right.
So it's like, look, one thing Nick Sirianni's not going to get, and I wanted him back. One thing he's not getting, though, is any benefit of the doubt. None. He does not get Nick Sirianni knows what he's doing. No. He's got to show me this year that he knows what he's doing. And flat out, if this team goes out first week, if he decides, no, we got to put the bubble wrap on this entire offense, and then they're going out 3 and outs. They don't look sharp. They don't. I'm telling you, he's ignoring the own lesson that he learned last year.
I got you. I just don't think it's realistic to say that a possession of football for an offensive unit that has guys that have been in these positions for years is going to make that big of a difference. Like, it's win or lose whether or not these guys play a series.
I think it's more so than just knowing how to run a route. I've referred to Brandon Graham a few times. He'd rather get his mistake out of the way in the preseason because...
And I get that.
Then it's not going to cost them during a regular season game. that first hit that you take.
It's got
Again,
totally different.
That might be the most fair argument.
They're not taking that hit in preseason. Like they're in training
all.
camp.
Not at
like,
all.
Forget the red jersey thing. The running backs aren't taking that pop.
Right, that's totally fair.
Like the linemen stand up. Like they let the guy hit the hole because they're just working on certain things.
I just think that that's overstating the argument to say, like, to put so much on week one on if they play a series. And I want them to play. I just don't want us to overstep on how much it matters.
Well, we all have our beliefs, Connor. All right, coming up next, we'll check the text line. And I promise, I'm sorry, Dan Orlovsky joined us yesterday, and we're going to play something coming up next of what he said about Jalen Hurts. And it's going to lead to a topic about whether or not Jalen Hurts is more of a question mark or a known commodity. Hear from Dan Orlovsky next. This is Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli.
Whether they were lucky to be 10-1 or not, they were 10-1, so they did enough to get by.
Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic on game day. For who? The Eagles.
Is it, though?
But how many of them we'll find out probably at kickoff. Because Nick Sirianni has not given us answers ahead of time because, you know, they gotta win the preseason games, Johnny.
And I do wonder if it but as I said, I was told yesterday, source that I believe, that there were players on offense who were surprised when they were told they were not playing.
Because, I mean, look, Jeff McClain reported, and I believe Jeff McClain's reports.
Jeff McClain sort of knows what he's talking about.
It was around noon, I remember, because I was doing my appearance at the Wendy's on Aramingo Ave, and it was Jeff McClain tweeted out that the starters will be playing for a series, if not more, depending on how it went.
Right.
And I saw starters warming up in pads, and then all of a sudden they were not. So I imagine Sirianni already had a decision made.
See, I think he got spooked.
Do you think so? I can't.
Yeah, I do. I think he got.
I don't think he lied about the field surface.
The field surface was fine.
It could be a dumb explanation,
dude.
I don't think that was a lie.
The field surface was absolutely fine.
There were other people saying how
they couldn't get over how the field surface was.
He could have been wrong in his evaluation of the field surface.
But then why was it fine for the defense?
I think it's a dumb thought process, but I don't think that there was some ulterior motive to not playing them.
Well, no, I think he chickened out. I think he got spooked. I think he had a plan, and then at the last minute, he's like, what if somebody gets hurt? Oh, can't do that. Someone might get hurt. It's so stupid. So stupid. That's all I'm going to tell you.
It is. All right. What do we have on the text line there, Connor? And then we'll get to this Dan Orlovsky audio, which will lead to plenty of conversation for the rest of the show today. But you can text it. You can call in 610-632-0975. Do you believe the players will play in the preseason tonight, the starters? Do you want to see the starters play in the preseason tonight? An open-ended Phillies discussion. They win yesterday. We are not saying that they are back, but it was just a nice breath of fresh air that they got the win yesterday. And again, thank you, Kyle Schwarber, because if not for that grand slam, I don't know if they win that baseball game.
I don't think they will.
I don't think they do.
Hey,
Yeah.
pregame at what time tonight, too?
6 to 7.
6 to 7 tonight.
Yes.
With Connor not holding out, right?
We'll see.
Okay.
Game time decision. And Bill Colarulo and Andrew Pacheco and Tim McManus.
Okay, good.
They might just franchise tag
Now,
me.
I think Bill Colarulo and Andrew Pacheco shouldn't even appear on the show because they might get hurt.
They might get hurt.
What if they got hurt?
Easy.
What if they get hurt tonight and then they're not ready for the real games in the regular season? What if they pull a muscle?
What do we got on the text line, Connor?
We'll get these out of the way real quick. Chris from Morrisville and Jay from Westchester both saying the same thing, that they were saying they wanted to see starters out there until you started talking about the potential Jalen Hurts injury. Now they don't want him to play.
Stop it.
And Jay from Westchester says you better pray that if Jalen Hurts is out there, nothing happens, or you're going to be public enemy number one.
Of course I want nothing to happen. It has nothing to do with what I said. I don't want anybody getting hurt.
That video will be epic.
It's going to be a tough look for you, buddy.
Yeah, sure.
And
Cross our fingers.
Haley, right now, I'm sure, as a good friend to Andrew, is going to try to scrub that video.
I'm sure.
I'll post that everywhere. An actual text here from Adam. He says, if I'm being honest, the only reason why I want the starters to play tonight is because I want to be entertained and it's more fun than watching the backup.
Yeah, no, don't.
What?
I wouldn't go there.
Well, he's saying if you're trying to convince yourself it's because you want them to be better prepared, you're lying to yourself.
Why? Why am I lying to myself?
The same thing that I've asked you guys. I think there's a lot of people that look at one series and they say, how much of a difference does it make?
The coach told you you're wrong if you have that opinion.
Players have told you that you're wrong
if you have that opinion.
Okay.
Like the coach came out after the first game last year at his press conference and told you that he was wrong not to play.
I understand what the coach said and what the players say, but on behalf of the fan base, don't you understand where people are coming from when they say...
But the fan base doesn't know.
Which is why we're having this conversation.
They think they know, and they don't, but they don't. When the coach tells you something and players tell you something, believe them. They know what they're talking about.
Well, a lot of people don't have faith in the coaches or players right now.
On your couch, you don't know as much as the players
Well,
know.
Jalen Hurts would tell you that. He said, you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
All right. Yesterday,
Standard's the standard.
Dan Orlovsky joined us, and it was a great conversation, even though it was not like the most pro Jalen Hurts discussion in the world. Like
I thought it was fair.
No, I thought it was fair, but like it's not like Orlovsky came on the air and said Hurts is the best. It was like, Hurts is outside my top 10. Hurts needs to work on this. Hurts needs to work on that. And that's all these things are fair, but it's not like you came out of that interview going, damn, I feel great about this season. But I want to run this by you. I want to play this clip for you, and I want this to continue into the 7 o'clock hour, and we'll see how long it goes in the show. Here's Dan Orlovsky yesterday with us talking about Jalen Hurts being more of a question mark for him now than a known commodity.
Right now, Jalen, for me, is a little bit more of a question mark than a known commodity. And what I mean by that is, with the new offensive coordinator coming off of the season that he had, we don't know exactly how he's going to transition into this new offense and exactly who he is as a player. You know, we have one unbelievably dominant season back in 2022 when he played at an MVP level, and everyone knows, and obviously in the Super Bowl, might have won the Super Bowl MVP. And then last year was, I don't want to say the complete opposite of that, but a significant opposite of that, where he really struggled. And was he injured? Was he not? All that. And so we've got those two seasons that are kind of the opposites of each other, with a player going into a new offense. And then for me, I'm sitting there going, okay, I want to see kind of what he is in this offense. Are they going to run him as much? All that.
So we all agree on this show, and I think majority of Eagles fans agree, that he will be closer to 2022 than 2023 this season.
I think he will. I think he will exceed.
Yeah.
He is going to exceed. I'm not even on the fence on that.
Right, and you've been saying that.
That's
for
Kellen Moore.
weeks now.
A lot of Kellen Moore.
Right, of course.
And I think that Brian Johnson, 2 creams, 1 sugar, was a little overmatched last year.
And, you know, Hurts now also has Saquon Barkley. Like I've said this numerous times, there's no excuses for Jalen Hurts this season, in my opinion. So the question for the audience today, 610-632-0975, text and calling, saying, you know, obviously we have the other topics on the table as well. What Dan Orlovsky said, I want to get your answer. Do you believe that Jalen Hurts is more of a question mark or a known commodity? We all believe he will be better this season. I don't necessarily know if it's a lock, but he should be because of all the talent and the offensive coordinator. So is Jalen Hurts, in your opinion, more of a question mark or a known commodity? We'll discuss that coming up next. And Dan Orlovsky did talk about the things he needs to improve on from last season. All right, he didn't just say, I don't think he's that good. He actually explains himself, why he took a step back.
In detail.
Yeah, so and I appreciate that. So we'll play you those clips coming up as well. But we'll get more of your text messages and calls at 610-632-0975. Hear more from Dan Orlovsky coming up next about Jalen Hurts. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
7:01 on Kincade and Salciunas on this Wendy's Thursday morning.
Is it a Wendy's Thursday?
Yes, and I apologize because me, myself, and I forgot to give away our first of our four $50 Wendy's gift cards. So, John,
How about caller number one?
wow, I'm surprised.
Because they've won one game in a row, the Phillies.
That's good. You know what? That's good. And Jalen Hurts, jersey number 1.
There you go.
In honor of him probably not playing tonight.
That's unbelievable.
So call number 1 of the contest line, 215-263-0975. First caller will win our first of 4 $50 Wendy's gift cards. We do this every single Thursday. Wendy's new saucy nugs are taking nugs to a whole new level. Choose from 7 different flavors for a whole new way to nug. It's got to be Wendy's, open till midnight or later. At participating U.S. Wendy's, hours may vary by location, so you can try those saucy nugs. You can also try the breakfast burrito that we will be inhaling at some point today. First caller, 215-263-0975. All right, coming up this segment, we just played you that clip from Dan Orlovsky. Dan Orlovsky is under the impression that Jalen Hurts is now more of a question mark than a known commodity following last season. Now, he did actually explain what he believes Jalen Hurts needs to work on. There were 2 things specifically that he needs to improve on this year to get back to where he was in 2022. We'll play those for you coming up in a little bit. But I want to get to more text messages and more calls. I see the people that are awake this morning. You can text in. You can call in 610-632-0975. It is preseason week number 2, game day. Do you want to see the starters tonight? Do you believe we will see the starters tonight? And Connor, we got a text during the break that it tells you we're not going to see the starters tonight.
Yes. Now, I'm double-checked this. I checked my references and everything, a.k.a. the Weather Channel app.
Oh,
but
good job.
Ed in Massachusetts checks in and says, we're expecting thunderstorms this afternoon/evening, so the starters won't play because the tarp will get wet like last week.
Oh, jeez.
I did look. It looks like potential of rain from 2 to about 7 p.m. Up in Foxborough, Massachusetts.
You know what we need to do? Adam Joseph just needs to join the Eagles coaching staff. I mean, because if we're making decisions, oh my gosh, it might rain a little.
But the defense will play.
They played in freaking rain last year all the time. The Buffalo game, the Miami game, there were monsoons last year.
Now, I will say this, John, as somebody who very much wants to see the starters play, I will not play them in the rain tonight. If it rained at 3:00 with a tarp on the field, right, you're playing. Like last week when I heard, and when multiple reporters confirmed that the field had great conditions and they decided not to play because of the weather, and then Nick Sirianni was asked about the defense and said, oh, it was fine for the defense, I scoff at that.
Because it's stupid, because the defense doesn't know where the ball's going. The offense does. It's more dangerous on a slippery surface for a defensive player than an offensive player. It's simple. I don't understand it.
All right, well, let's get to the phone lines. You can call in, text in 610-632-0975. Open-ended Phillies discussion after yesterday's win. We are going to get into something at 7:30 that you touched on in the first segment, and I didn't want to burn it.
Good.
About Rob Thompson in the lineup last night, and did he actually do things right? We'll talk about that around 7:30. But let's go to the phones. Let's go to Reed in Jacksonville. What's up, Reed?
What's up, Reed?
Hey, what's going on? Used to be Reed in Charlotte, Andrew.
Yo, what's up, brother? You moved down to Jacksonville?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You got to head down to Palm Coast, Reed. Great spot.
I'm all over down here, man.
It's good to hear from you, brother.
Yeah. Hey, so listen, man. I was at the Super Bowl in Vegas talking to Orlovsky. He just got a thing against Hurts, and I don't know what it is.
He doesn't, though. He usually is he's much more positive than that, honestly, in previous years.
Well, he was telling me this at this expo that I was at, that Hurts is not even a top 15 quarterback right now.
Well, right.
And
at that time, right? Like,
what was he coming off of? Disaster.
I get what he was saying at the time.
If you look at his numbers, it wasn't a disaster last year.
Use your eyeballs, Reed.
No, Reed, December on. Reed, December on. It was a disaster. Anything less. That Tampa Bay game, he played as bad in the Tampa game this year as he did his rookie year.
I believe that. But when you look at the total season,
well, then you can't do that. You can't. He was a disaster in a playoff game.
And I could say this, Reed. If you look at the total season, the Eagles were a playoff team.
Correct.
They were 11-6 and a playoff team.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's the fact.
yeah, but then they went 1-6.
I mean, you can't do that.
Like
Reed.
there's context to everything, and there's eye tests, and that team,
here's
the
the deal.
Eagles, the final 2 months of the season, the Eagles, and this is a fact, the Eagles were the worst team in football the final 2 months of the season.
Here's the deal. I don't have a question about Hurts. I think Hurts is going to have an incredible season, and I'm confident about him.
We all agree with you, Reed.
That I would take him over everyone in the league.
Whoa.
Except for Mahomes and maybe Burrow. I would take Hurts.
Okay.
Look, there's a conversation for all that, and thanks for the call, Reed. Like we've done this. We've talked about whether or not is Matt Stafford, like if you were to start over, not a 1-year season, like if you were to rebuild a franchise.
1 year.
Well, no. If you were to rebuild a franchise, you would take Jalen Hurts over Matt Stafford because Matt Stafford could
Long
be done
term.
anytime soon.
Right.
But don't ignore the fact that there might be people that take C.J. Stroud over Jalen Hurts and Jordan Love over Jalen Hurts. I mean, people are already basically calling Jordan Love Aaron Rodgers, right? Like the way people talk about him in league circles.
All off of a Cowboy playoff win. Beating the Cowboys.
And the 49ers game, he was good.
49ers game, I thought he played well. Yeah.
Against the team that got to the Super Bowl. He played pretty well.
He played well.
His teammates dropped 2 passes that ended up being intercepted, right? So, but whatever. Like, I get it. Jalen Hurts is our quarterback, man. And Jalen Hurts has done some incredible things. That Super Bowl year and the Super Bowl itself, you cannot take that away from him. You also can't ignore the fact that he was bad the last 2 months of last season. He was.
No, I mean, I'm the one telling you I believe this is going to be a boffo year for him. He's December 1st of the last 2 calendar years, he's been the leading guy in the MVP odds. And so, I mean, and I'm totally buying into that. That's the real guy he is, and he's going to have a great year. That was a disaster.
Right.
After 10-1 last year.
And look,
anyone trying to spin it differently.
It may have been the coach. It may have been the coach.
Yeah, but he also had a bad attitude.
He did.
And we saw with his antics with Nick Sirianni this year, he wasn't exactly acting like a mature adult.
No.
Neither one of them.
Neither one of them were.
By that.
Neither one of them were. We're not, nobody's picking
adults.
sides here.
Right.
All right, let's go to Carl in Philly. Hi, Carl.
Yeah.
What's up, buddy?
What's up,
man?
First of all, I want to say I'm a Cowboys fan, right?
Okay.
But even I could recognize that the talent that, Hurts has, there's no way he could fail. There's no way. Especially with Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore, when he was with the Cowboys, the offense was explosive. And, it's almost like the same type of offense as far as what the weapons goes.
Carl, what'd you like the most about Kellen Moore's offense when he was the Cowboys guy?
I mean, he put Dak in good positions. Now, Dak didn't come through a lot, especially during the playoffs, but that don't fall on Kellen Moore, and, Dak, he's bad when it comes to, like, clutch performance. He's throwing interception after interception. That's all Dak. But as far as, like, the offense-wise, Kellen Moore, he's amazing. And with the talent that the Philadelphia Eagles have around Hurts is going to have an amazing year. And I hate to say that, but even I could recognize that, especially with the, with Saquon and then a wide receivers. There's no way.
That's because you're a logical football mind.
That's because you're a good man, Carl.
Yeah, you're a logical football mind. I still don't understand how you're a Cowboys fan.
Wait a minute, maybe he has a
a
reason. Carl, any ties to Texas?
No, I just, I'm real close to my uncle. My uncle, he was a huge Cowboys fan, and I just...
Yeah. All right, well, we appreciate the call, Carl,
That's
even though I think that's one of the...
I wouldn't have let my kid near that, uncle.
I get it. I appreciate family ties, and family ties lead to certain loves of everything in life, but... you don't...
No.
Have you ever been...
No.
All right, so Dan Orlovsky. He says that Jalen Hurts is more of a question mark than a known commodity in his eyes. I would love to get your reaction to that. Do you agree with Dan, or do you believe wholeheartedly he's going to be back to 2022? John's been saying it with his chest. John's been saying 4,500 yards, 30-plus touchdown passes.
Those are 2 thresholds he's going to reach.
He's going to win
this year.
presidency.
I didn't realize that.
He's going to fly to the moon. And
I don't think they go anymore.
No, they don't. Isn't that strange?
Did they ever go?
Isn't that a little odd?
No, not doing
6-1-0.
it.
Isn't that a little odd?
But also, no, they didn't.
Look, Jalen Hurts is going to have a bounce-back season this year. The question is, how good can he be? And so Dan Orlovsky, I made sure to ask him, all right, you had those 7 quarterback attributes. He was only in the top 10 for 2 of them. What are the 2 things that he has to work on the most? Here's the first one. He talked about ball placement.
To a 22 season, I said he was the most improved football thrower I've ever been around, as far as like when it comes to that ball placement. And I think there was a little bit specific to ball placement. There was a little bit of a couple different things that forced the drop off in that last year. One, he definitely at times forced the football to AJ. And that's always a fine line because you want to get your guy the ball. As far as an offense, your dominant player. So there was definitely moments where you're just forcing it to him. And when you do that, you're not as free throwing the football. 2, didn't trust the pocket as much, and that led to missed throws and maybe not as pinpoint throw-wise. So getting a little bit more rhythm in that and back to that foundation.
Didn't trust the pocket as much. Let's explore that a little bit.
Well, he expands on it. Here he is talking about the pocket presence, and this is something that the 3 of us kind of talked about the other day.
For that pocket movement, again, I probably would have had him in that top probably 6 or 7 in that as well, going off of the 22 season. Last year, I was very outspoken. I do not believe he trusted the offensive line and the pocket interior-wise as much as he did the year before, and so that forced him to either leave pockets that were good or hang in pockets that weren't. And so I think getting back that stuff, I don't think it's necessarily like, oh my gosh, you have to improve. It's just getting back to being good at that over the course of the season, which he's shown the capability of doing.
And look, this could come down to either it being Jalen Hurts or it could come down to coaching. Like this one very well could be one or the other because I don't believe it was a problem 2 years ago. It was a problem last season. It was bad. I saw way too many times that if his first read wasn't there, he rolled right. And it was always right? And to the point where defenses would just go, all right, we're just going to have one guy on the left side just in case, and we're going to bracket him and make him, if he's going to roll to his right, we're going to have somebody ready. We're going to have a spy.
It almost like you could hear Todd Bowles from that playoff game and the sideline at Tampa Bay.
Right, he can't read the defense.
He can't read the defense. He knows we know where he's rolling.
And look, he's definitely gotten better at that, but I do believe part of it is coaching, and part of it might have been his disbelief in the offense. I mean, it's now been documented, and whether that's
on him.
Look, that's
too,
on
though.
him. It is. You're right, John. And I don't think that Jalen Hurts is blameless for this. I think he's part of the blame for how this offense fell apart last year. But if Kellen Moore can coach him up, if Kellen Moore can tell him, and this was one of the biggest issues I think with Hurts last year, he rolled right because he didn't believe in checkdowns. The checkdown was there. I don't want to say
there
all
were
the time.
so many games where they showed you.
Yeah. And instead
Guys
he
are
rolled
wide
right.
open.
The check down's to the left. You're not going to stop, plant, turn, throw to your check down, right? You're not going to do that. So he would keep on rolling right. And then there would be a log jam. So what are you going to do? Check it down to a guy that's got the guy that's spying you on him and also the guy that's defending him, whether it's zone coverage, man coverage, whatever. Like you're not going to do that. And I think that's coaching as well.
How much could it have also been, though, him not trusting his legs last year?
That could have been it, too. That certainly could have been it. Like I don't want to get smoked.
I don't have the burst. I don't have the burst to escape that I had the year before.
I think his instincts took him right. And then to your point, I think he would realize, I can't beat this guy.
Okay.
And so then he would float behind the line of scrimmage, look up downfield. He would throw the football away, or he'd try to play hero ball. Or in the playoff game, he ran back 17,000 yards and got sacked in the end zone.
We did that in the San Francisco game, too.
Yeah.
In first and goal from
Knocked you out of field goal.
I think it was first and goal from the 3. No, they ended up getting the second
got the
field
field
goal.
goal, yeah.
But it was like first and goal from the 3-yard line.
Right.
And he ran himself back to where it was a sack where he just had to be touched
right
on the ground.
It's a combination of a whole bunch of different things, right? It's like you have a disease and there's a bunch of different symptoms. And part of it is they didn't have great blitz pickup at all last year.
No, they didn't.
And I don't know if you put that on.
I put that on coaching.
Yeah,
I put that on coaching.
Right, but you also you look at a situation where there were some guys on the offensive line that didn't play up to what we thought they were going to, and we hope that bounces back. But you change who makes the calls this year. You don't have a guy. Clearly, the quarterback didn't trust the first read because he's going rogue at points in the season, saying, "I want my best target, who's probably the first read on a lot of these plays, and A.J. Brown, to do something different." So just me putting myself in those shoes, if I don't trust the first read, I'm trusting the second read even less, the third read even less. So you're giving up on the play early. That also goes back to coaching, but should the quarterback have more faith? And then John brought up a great point about the legs. You try and make something happen yourself, and your body's not letting you. So it's a combination of all of these things, and you hope that enough of them have been fixed over the offseason by the new coaching with Kellen Moore and him getting healthier that you don't have these problems
Right,
again.
and I think we all agree that it did, but to like the Dan Orlovsky evaluation, we haven't seen it yet. So it's not like he can sit here and say
that we know for sure it's been
I'm going to put Jalen Hurts in my top 10 for pocket presence because I believe he'll be better at it. Like, no, you have to do your list based off of what we've seen so far. And in 3 years of Jalen Hurts' career, he's been good at it for one. In the first year and last year, he had the happy feet and he rolled right.
The scariest part to me on the confidence that I've got in Jalen Hurts is the idea that Tampa game, that playoff game reminded me of his first year at Tampa and how bad that game was.
It was really bad.
It was terrible.
But this year could remind you of how great 2022 was.
Correct. And I do believe that's what's going to happen.
Right. So
you heard a Cowboy fan telling you there. I mean, there's so many reasons to believe that Kellen Moore is going to clean this thing up.
Yeah, he
many
was really big on Kellen Moore. We've had Cowboys fans call in say, "Don't get too excited." Now, is that because they're sad that he's not with them anymore?
Yes, they are. There isn't a Cowboy. You will not find a Cowboy fan, message board, media member who said it was a good thing that they go to Mike McCarthy as the offensive coordinator away from Kellen Moore. You will not. The Cowboys media crew was against it. The people who cover the team on a daily basis.
Right.
The fan base was against it. So anything else is complete revisionist history. If they try to tell you now, oh, no. We wanted more out.
Right.
Nonsense.
All right, what do we got on the text line, Connor? Don't forget, you can also text the show at 610-632-0975.
We still have a lot of people checking in on the preseason conversation, what's going on, but we do have a text here from Stan from Yardley about Jalen Hurts, and he says, I think he's more of a commodity, but there is a lot to be desired. It's not the name brand right now. He's more of the store brand. Know what you're going to get, but not top of the line. I think he's outside the top 8 QBs in the league, but this year could change that.
He's thinking, wait a minute.
I'm a big bowl and basket guy, by the way.
Bowl and basket's fire.
I'm
What
a
is
big
that?
bowl. That's the ShopRite, like store brand stuff.
As
Big
someone
bowl
who
and
does
basket.
not
What you know
shop,
about
man.
bowl and basket, Johnny?
I do not know that. I do not know any of the. I will say to my wife that I do not want to eat not name brand stuff. I do not want
bougie.
I do not want. No, I just don't.
You got
like,
that bougie.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, we
but
do
there's
the taco season packaging. There's the Ortega, or you can get the bowl and basket. You save 25 cents. Also, I will say the bowl and basket has a little bit more heat to it.
I'm like,
Really?
if I'm going to go get Doritos.
Hey, ShopRite, are you listening? Are you listening?
No, they should be
These
listening.
two guys. No, I'm saying, are you listening? These two guys are pimping right now your brands.
I'm pro bowl and basket, baby.
But
No,
also,
I mean,
if I go into a convenience store and instead of Doritos, they have like Donitos or
you're
something,
not
I'm
getting
getting
Doritos.
Doritos.
I'm
Okay,
totally getting
I am
Doritos. I get
brand.
it.
I will always grab a brand. I will never grab a generic.
But I hear what the texter's saying. Like, you know what you're going to get out of Jalen Hurts, but you could also find the steal, like the bowl and basket.
So
taco
is
seasoning.
Jalen Hurts bowl and basket? It's bowl and basket, not
Yes.
bowl and basket.
No, bowl and basket.
Bowl and basket.
I think he's.
I learn something new every day.
I think he's the top of the line commodity. How about that?
You think he's Jif?
Yeah. Oh, I'm a big Jif guy.
Jif.
All right,
I think
coming
it's
up
pronounced
next.
GIF.
Coming up next, we continue to get your reaction on today's topics. Do you want to see the Stars play in the preseason tonight? Do you even believe that you will see the players play in the preseason tonight? And when it comes to Jalen Hurts, is he more of a question mark or a known commodity? Dan Orlovsky told us yesterday he believes he's more of a question mark. You can text and call in 610-632-0975. As well as your reaction coming up next. Jason Stark joined the best show ever yesterday. Talked about what he believed the Phillies may have been dealing with. Also, did Rob Thompson do the right thing, Johnny? It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Game day for the Birds. I'm Connor Thomas.
On Kincade and Salciunas on this Wendy's Thursday morning. I have just been informed the breakfast burritos have arrived safely.
Hell yeah, brother.
But we got to wait till our next commercial break to devour said breakfast burrito.
Focus,
Exactly.
focus.
So here's what we're going to do in honor of said breakfast burritos making their arrival to One Bala Plaza. Let's go with caller number. You gave one?
I gave one earlier because the Phillies have won one game in a row. That's not even a streak.
I'll give number two.
There we go.
Because they're going to win their second straight tonight. Call number 2 to the contest line. Go ahead.
You're up with two. The Salciunas guarantee is 2 for 2.
Yes.
The Thomas Kincade guarantees are 1 for 1.
All right. Well, maybe
We guaranteed that last night.
I am chesty today.
So you are putting that on the line. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going out on a limb with Zach Wheeler against the Nationals. Anyways, call number 2 to the contest line, 215-263-0975. You'll win our second $50 Wendy's gift card of the day. Wendy's new saucy nugs are taking nugs to a whole new level. Choose from 7 different flavors for a whole new way to nug. It's got to be Wendy's. Open till midnight or later at participating U.S. Wendy's. Hours may vary by location. All right, we'll get to more of your reaction, your texts, and your calls come up in a little bit. But I want to play something for you, and then I have a question about Rob Thompson and his decisions last night. But here's Jason Stark. He joined the best show ever yesterday. He joins the best show ever every single Wednesday. And he was talking about maybe what could have been affecting the Phillies in a negative way. This, of course, was before last night's win.
I do wonder if they start thinking about October a little too early. JT, go get your knee surgery. We'll be fine. Ranger, take a few weeks to reset. We'll get through this. We have a big lead. And, at the time, all that made sense. But looking back, did it send the wrong message? You know what I mean? Did they stop approaching the season as if the games mattered? Or were they just trying to navigate the marathon and get to October? Whatever it was, it just feels like, again, from afar, that they lost their edge somewhere along the way.
See, now, it's interesting, right? Because I would have done the same thing with Real Muto. I'd rather you get the surgery now than let it linger and maybe get worse.
I absolutely would have done that, too. I do not question that decision.
I would not continue to pitch Ranger Suarez through back pain. I
think they shut him down. I don't believe there was a
issue.
Okay, we've got to shut him. I think they were worried about him being tired after the injuries, and they shut him down. And they knew his innings stuff.
Oh, much higher. Would have been much higher than what it has been.
And to my guess is that they tried to do a what they did with Zach Wheeler a few years ago.
Which worked.
Shut him down for 3 weeks. I think that's what they tried to do. I think that's incredibly arrogant, if that is the case.
Not if he comes back and he pitches the way that he did the first 2 months of the season, which was
that needs to be
remember,
proven
he
out.
was a Cy Young candidate after the first 2 months of the season.
I feel different about the confidence I have in Zach Wheeler than Ranger Suarez. But we'll see.
And that's fair because Zach Wheeler's
he's a veteran.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know if it's arrogant. If they look, we all saw it. Ranger Suarez was not pitching well. He wasn't.
Right.
He wasn't. His last start, he was okay.
He appeared tired. When people say tired, he appeared tired.
So is it arrogant to sit a guy for 3 or 4 starts?
I told you the other day, and then a Major League Baseball player who competes with this Phillies team said to me that I was nuts if I think there's any concern about them being able to be ready when it counts.
Right.
But he said they to him it appears to be like a situation of a team with ADD.
Could be.
They got out to the big lead. They look behind them and they see the Mets and the Braves and they go, they're not catching us. And they just take their eye off the ball. He says you take your eye off the ball a little bit,
right?
It can come
so
back.
I think that person and Jason Starr kind of see things the same way. And by the way, Ranger Suarez, he's going to come back in probably a week or 2. I don't know the exact. I know he pitched the simulated. He did the simulated thing the other day.
He's going to pitch in the road trip the next road trip.
Okay,
yeah. Or not Houston, the one in between that.
So there's 42 games left.
Yeah, there's 42 games left today.
So he'll end up still making like 5 or 6 starts. Like it's not like he's gonna.
And hopefully the magic can be recreated.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, we talk about the struggles that they've had. As annoying as it's been and as big of a drop-off as it's been, this is not a bad time of the year to have it. This may be like the if you
It
could,
may be the best.
exactly, because you've already built the lead, so you can get away with it from a standing standpoint. It's not close enough to the postseason that you can't build up momentum again, and you're getting guys healthy. So while it is a gamble, and it could be them looking at their position, you may view that as arrogant. I do think that there's upside to the way they've approached this, and I also don't think that anybody saw them falling this fast. So
did.
I can't fault the organization for handling those things the way they did.
I think we all did see that the play behind the plate would diminish
for sure.
once Real Muto was out, even though Martian did a pretty good job and he was awarded with a trip to Lehigh.
Yeah, because they decided to keep the inferior
Vibes, man.
catcher.
So I want to ask this question. And I know coming off of a win, it sounds weird to ask the question. But
Okay.
I would be a hypocrite or I would be lying to you if I didn't have a certain reaction when the lineup came out yesterday. So yesterday, we were talking about a potential shakeup. Now, there was. Schwarber still batted leadoff.
That was the shakeup?
Well, there was. Castellanos moved up to the 2-hole, which is, he jumped up 4 spots from the 6th spot to the 2-hole.
Well, he'd been their best hitter for a while.
Right. Harper stayed at 3, Bowman stayed at 4. Stott stayed at 5. Real Muto batted 6th. Trey Turner was given the night off. I don't think he was benched. And then Martian Rojas remained in the game. Now, here's the deal. I hated it. However, Stott goes 2 for 3 with a walk.
Did he do that because of the lineup, the way it was set up?
I don't know. And that's the thing.
No.
It's a weird question to ask after a win. But my question is, did Rob Thompson do the right thing yesterday? I'm going to guess Connor says yes, because Connor's going to say you got to stick with your guys.
Against the second worst team in baseball, no. Don't leave like, oh, you mean like one of the highest payroll, most talented teams in baseball beat up on a bad baseball team? Man, that was a genius move by Rob Thompson. What I want to know is, again, the logic. Explain the logic. So we got to take Trey Turner off his feet. He's got to get a day off, just a day to clear his head, because he'll be back in there tonight. Guaranteed.
Yes, he will be.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. And then it'll be, but we don't need to do that for Bryson Stott. We don't need to do that for Brandon Marsh. We don't, whether it works or not. There's no logic to
Right.
what
Well,
he,
there
there's no
absolutely
logic
is.
to what he
I can
does.
talk you.
believe
I
there
can
is?
talk you through this easily.
Okay, I want to hear this.
Yeah,
And
you think that's easy on the show?
Absolutely.
There you
Absolutely. If people give you a chance. So here, I want everyone to listen to me carefully here, because I'm not saying like Rob Thompson's this genius Michelangelo painting a masterpiece with this lineup. But we talked about my idea yesterday, small changes. Do one thing. Do 2 things. He moved Trey Turner out of the lineup yesterday. He gave him a day. We're going to move Castellanos up. That's a small change that I don't know how much it officially affected the game, but they tried something different. That's what you guys wanted. He tried something different. The way I look at it, you can't play Edmundo Sosa at shortstop and second base. He's got
Correct.
some range, but not that much. So if you're going to sit Trey
And he
Turner,
doesn't have much range at shortstop.
yeah, right. If you're going to sit Trey Turner, you're going to play Edmundo Sosa there. That means Bryson Stott's got to be in the ballgame.
Right.
Like, there's no other thing
So the
you can
thing,
do there.
the thing that I would have done differently yesterday was I would have kept Turner in the lineup,
So
and
would
I
I.
would have taken Stott out.
Right.
Because
And
And
Stott-
I would have dropped Turner down in the lineup.
And here's
Then that's where you actually do something that there's some logic
different.
to it.
Okay, well, here's the thought process behind it. If, like Trey Turner, they may look at as having more of a chance to save. They may say, hey, we're treading water with Bryson Stott. And there's only so much we could do over there. But we know that, like, Trey Turner is going to be a great hitter at some point this season. So we give him a day to mentally reset, and Bryson's just got to kind of wear it because we don't have guys to play over. Like, I don't know. There's a whole billion explanations for why they did what they did mentally for the players, physically for the players. Remember, Bryson Stott's played all year. Trey Turner has had a major injury that kept him out for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's bothering him still, but you want to be careful. And also, if you have a guy more tired in the postseason, would you rather it be Trey Turner or Bryson Stott?
If Trey Turner's going to be tired in the postseason after 6.5 weeks off, seriously, cry me a freaking
maybe
river.
tired is
John,
no,
maybe
maybe
it's not
maybe
fair.
tired isn't
No,
the
but the
word.
thing is-
Maybe it's the hammy. Look, a hammy's a hammy.
worse. Stott's been worse than Turner.
Yes.
And so you sit Turner?
Stott's been healthier than Turner, and it's one game, and you're trying to get an older player off his feet.
Like you
Okay,
said,
what's
Turner,
gonna
like you
happen
said,
tonight?
Turner's back in the lineup tonight.
Let's take the logic back.
Okay.
So Rob Thompson, trying to do something different. Where's Turner bat tonight?
Turner's probably going to bat second.
So now,
So you're just going to go back to doing what you
see,
kept
now this
doing.
is what's interesting.
This is where it makes no sense.
This is what's interesting. Turner's back in the lineup tonight, and Stott's not. You can't take. If you want to build off confidence, you can't say, "Hey, Stott, you're sitting tonight."
You had 2 hits.
I disagree. Lefty. You're going to play Edmundo Sosa at second
Oh, okay.
tonight.
I
I
didn't
think you
realize
play
he was a
Sosa.
left-handed starter.
But that could be 3 nights, though, Connor.
What do
3
you mean?
lefties in a row
That's right. Yeah.
for Washington.
It could be.
And I don't think
if
you would do that.
Well, if you win 1, you might play Stott and give him a chance. If you win 2, you might play Stott in game 3 because you've already got. I think it's variable.
I would move Turner down the lineup just so that he sees things differently. We saw him do it last year. It turned his season around to the point where they were then able to move him up in the order later on.
I wouldn't get mad at that.
I would bat him probably 5th or 6th tonight. Schwarber's not going anywhere. I would put Bohm at 2, but if he wants to go with Castellanos at 2, so be it. Let's say the 4 is the 4. Schwarber, Castellanos, Harper, Bohm. Then the question is it Real Muto or is it Turner at 5? But either way, I'm taking Turner out of the 2-hole.
I absolutely would be fine with
Just to
taking
let him
out.
reset.
He's gotta because show me some logic to what you're doing. Giving Trey Turner a night off is not shaking things up. That is in no way shaking things up.
You sat your starting shortstop.
It doesn't.
That's a change.
For a night.
The butcher at shortstop.
Okay, but they made a change and they won the game, and that's what we kind of asked for yesterday, and now we're going to be mad at it?
Look, no, I'm not. I don't know if he made the right. I don't know if that was necessarily a shakeup yesterday. I didn't see a shakeup. I saw a guy get a day off.
Okay,
One guy got a
Castellanos
day
moves
off.
up in that spot, and the lineup's
And if he goes back to,
then it doesn't mean
then it
anything.
didn't really mean anything. And I wouldn't be surprised if Rob
wouldn't be
Thompson goes
shocked.
back to the etched in stone lineup. All right, we'll continue this discussion. Also, coming up next, the battle for wide receiver number 3 continues tonight.
There is one?
Maybe. We'll explain more coming up next. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now is the time to become a Fanatic MVP. Go right now to 975thefanatic.com/
7 on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic on this Wendy's Thursday morning, breakfast burrito day. It was delicious. I still got a couple bites left. I'll save it for next break. I mean, it was just amazing. Always. Check out the Wendy's breakfast burrito. We have 2 more $50 Wendy's gift cards to give away as the show continues. One in the 8 o'clock hour and one in the 9 o'clock hour. All right, we'll get back to the text messages and the calls in a second, but I want to play this for you guys real quick because tonight, it's preseason week number 2. So if the starters don't play, we do know that there are position battles. We know that Becton and Steen are still fighting for that right guard job, even though it looks like Becton is winning and not with an edge. Like, I think he's winning the battle right now at right guard. Obviously, there's linebackers that are always fighting for positions because we don't really have that great of a crop of linebackers to say that there are lock starters, and Vic Fangio played his starters last week. Now, there is one position battle of note still on offense, and it's wide receiver 3. And you have Johnny Wilson, you have Paris Campbell, Anais Williams, who is not having a good camp, at all, apparently. So, Anais Smith, by the way. Sorry, I was thinking of Aeneas Williams, who used to play for the Rams.
Yeah,
back in the day.
Great street football,
yes,
NFL street player.
Yes, he was a great NFL street player. Sorry. Anais Smith, he's having a rough camp. John Ross, who knows? Apparently he had a good day at the joint practice the other day. We'll talk to Andrew Zucheko about all that coming up at 8:10. He was at the joint practice. But here's Tim McManus on the best show ever yesterday saying that wide receiver 3 might not even be a battle because the person's not here.
I think that they're going to be looking, whether it's cuts or trade, of bringing somebody else in. And I look over to, this isn't reporting anything, but just looking over at Houston as an example, right? So the Texans have 3 top-end wide receivers. They got Diggs, they got Nico Collins, and they got Tank Dell. And they have 3, pretty decent receivers below that, and Noah Brown, John Mechie, and Robert Woods. That's the kind of situation to me that makes sense. Like, does it end up being Houston? That's one question. Does it end up being a direct swap, cornerback to wide receiver is another question. But that's the kind of scenario you can envision where it's like, all right, let's see who else out there has more depth than we do at receiver. Let's see if we can make something happen in order to bolster our respective clubs. And so, yes, I think we know Roseman well enough. Like, if there's a position identified as not strong enough, especially with a roster as good as this one and championship caliber expectations, he's going to be looking. No question about that.
And Tim is not the first, nor will he probably be the last local reporter that has said that.
No, he's not.
It's been a constant since training camp started that the wide receiver 3 is not on this roster. And so
I've said it. I don't believe that the guy's on the roster. They need to find somebody.
And yeah,
it's a problem.
No, Brown's a nice name. He was good with Dallas, and last year he actually had a decent season with Houston last year in his role.
We're one twisted ankle away from sounding the alarms.
The only problem to that point,
notice
John,
I didn't mention any player. I just said something very vague. When we discussed an injury.
Yeah, I got you. But to that point, you can say that about so many teams. If the Dolphins lose Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle is tremendous, but there's going to be a fall off. Like, there's so many teams that have a major fall off from their top 2 receivers to receiver number 3. So, I get what you're saying.
I would say they probably, if you're talking right now, I would tell you that probably 2/3 of the teams in the NFL, if not more, have a better wide receiver 3. I think it's a position of thin depth.
Right, but you're saying if A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith, one of them have a twisted ankle, they miss a couple weeks, right? These guys are both 1,000-yard receivers. I could say the same thing about if CeeDee Lamb got a twisted ankle.
But other teams' third option may be somebody who is a more reliable, old head veteran, something like that.
Yeah, probably more reliable, but it's not good. The gap will still be there.
Okay, I hope we never have this conversation.
I agree,
but I completely disagree with you. Completely.
Look, I would rather. I'm not saying I don't want a better wide receiver 3, but the logic of if you lose A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, there's gonna be a fall off.
There will be a fall off.
Every team's gonna have that.
Yeah, but they're not gonna have the fall off. The Eagles are gonna have. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah,
I am hoping we never see it.
Here's what I'll tell you: if they lose A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, this season's over.
No. I'm not talking about them being gone. I'm talking about just even
For a couple weeks.
It's the odd time when you miss somebody, a bad timing of a big game, and you're missing them for a big game.
But if this team, that's more of an indictment on Hurts. If you can't win with either A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith, like one of those two, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley, this offensive line, that's kind of still on you.
Okay.
Kind of.
I hope we never have this conversation. Never have
That
this
would
week.
be that would be nice.
ideal. But Andrew wants to vividly describe injuries
Get
to
the hell
everybody.
out of here.
Let's hope not. Because I don't like
Let's
it.
go to Michael and Yardley. What's up, Mike?
What's up, guys? How we doing?
Good. How are
What's
you,
up, buddy?
Good. I got a bunch of things I wanted to touch on. Number one, I agree with Connor on this whole preseason thing. Like, to be perfectly honest and transparent, it's one drive is not going to do it for a starter who's put in 5-6 years. Even we have some starters put in 7-8 years plus in the NFL. One drive in a preseason game is not going to make the difference between coming out on week one and playing well. That's totally a preparation and coaching thing. Coaches having the players ready mentally, physically, because you've had some tougher practices, but you're going to be a little bit sloppy.
But don't you ever have an idea and you go, man, let me try this, and then you try it and you don't execute it, and you realize, all right, I either have to do it a different way or this isn't going to work.
And Michael, you think you know more than Andy Reid?
Yeah, I know, right? And so many different teams are in so many different schemes. You don't know that thing that you want to try. It might not work against Green Bay, but it would work week 2. So you go into these games with a game plan, and as long as the players know the game plan, these guys have been playing football all their lives. Like, football's football once you line up.
Yeah, but the one thing that I keep on going to is Jalen Hurts hasn't had a call out of blitz since college. And, this is his first year.
Now.
His first year doing it because Jason Kelsey's now gone. And I get it that defenses aren't going to be showing some incredible blitz packages, but I saw Nakobe Dean, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., blitzing the Ravens last week. I imagine that there would be somebody from New England that's going to blitz the A-gap, and Jalen Hurts needs to be able to point out who's going to be doing it before the snap.
Andrew, I agree with you 100% there, but I don't think that right there is the difference between a win and the loss in week 1. I think it's more technical on does this person get the call? Does this person know what they're doing on the play?
Then why not have the best preparation
Michael.
then?
Yeah, exactly.
Why not? Why look crappy on offense like you did last year?
Because, John,
I know it's
just
afraid.
it's a continuation of the preseason.
By the way, are we sure Andrew DeCecco's joining us coming up? Does that mean he could trip on something, get into his phone? We want him ready for the regular season.
He'll be joining us coming up at 8:10. We have today's headlines with Connor Thomas. Before that, we reset the show before both of those on Kincade Salciunas, 8 o'clock hour ahead, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Preseason Game 2 time. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by Wendy's.
Salciunas on this Wendy's Thursday morning here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Still another $50 Wendy's gift card to give away at some point this hour. We do one an hour, except for the hours that I forget, like the 6 o'clock hour. That's all me.
That's all right.
It happens. We have today's headlines with Connor Thomas coming up at 8:05. At 8:10, we will be joined by Andrew DeCecco. He joins us every single Thursday. And he was at the joint practice in Foxborough between the Eagles and Patriots. And, of course, he will be covering the game tonight. So we're looking forward to that. But here's what we've been talking about today. Speaking of the preseason, do you believe that the Stars will play tonight? Yes or no? And do you want to see the Stars play tonight? Yes or no? All three of us would like to see the Stars play. The difference on this show is that I don't believe that they're going to, and the two of you believe that they will.
I believe that Nick Sirianni's a man of his word. That I believe he's got to be smart enough to remember his own words, his own notes. He says he logs. He says in the same quote, he talks about journaling everything, and he takes notes of everything so he can go back and see and correct things for the future. If he chooses to not play the starters tonight at all, he's ignoring what he told us last year was an error on his part, and that he went and wrote it down.
Yep.
To make sure that he would remember it this year.
Well, maybe he lost his notebook.
On the other hand, last week, the explanation, I don't care whether it was the right explanation or not. The explanation he used was weather.
Yeah,
and
but
the
he can't
surface.
use that because the defense. We can't.
Well, he can because he just did. So,
no, but it's ridiculous if he does. Is
Okay,
what he said.
I'm not telling you whether or not it's ridiculous. We're talking about what they're going to do. And last week he said that the surface was not good enough for the offense to play, and this week it's expected to rain tonight in Foxborough. So I'm going to guess, because of that, they probably won't play him.
All right.
So absurd.
I know it is. I'm not debating that. I'm just saying what I think they're going to do.
But again, he is ignoring his own words. He's ignoring his own mistake. And he said it was a mistake. If I had it to do over again, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have rested everybody for the entire preseason. He says he writes it down. He journals everything. So we'll see if he pays attention or if those journals aren't worth the pieces of paper he writes on.
Our other Eagles talking point, we'll replay the clip coming up around 8:30. Dan Orlovsky joined us yesterday. Great conversation. But Dan was saying how Jalen Hurts is more of a question mark than a known commodity. And we would love to get your reaction on that. Do you agree with Dan Orlovsky that Jalen Hurts is more of a question mark, or is he a known commodity? And I'll ask this. Known commodity doesn't have to mean top 5 quarterback. Somebody could know that he's a 12th best quarterback. Like, we've had this conversation. We've had people rank him lower than other people. But what do you believe is the known commodity of Jalen Hurts? Or is he still a question mark, as Dan Orlovsky said? We'll play that clip for you again coming up around 8:30. But it's time now for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Welcome back after you got snubbed yesterday.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I understand. ESPN took over these airwaves, and Connor takes the back seat. That's all right, even though I put the shirt on, save the Phillies season. We'll move on. We got some good stuff today, and I know Johnny's going to love this one because Joel Embiid, well, he's won another award. Not just the gold medal, folks. The country of Cameroon, Joel Embiid's home country, yes, we'll have that debate, I'm sure, about who he should have played for in the Olympics, has awarded Joel Embiid with the Order of Valor Medal, which is awarded to Cameroon's highest achieving citizens in recognition of excellence in their field. So Joel Embiid gets the highest citizen honor in his country. Are you guys? Is this the year of Joel Embiid awards? Is finally winning things?
I don't know why you're laughing.
You know what valor means? Can we just use words for what they mean? Great courage in the face of danger, especially in battle.
You're looking way too much into this?
No, I'm looking at what a word means. It's a valor medal.
You're so black and white with this stuff, John.
They didn't give him a purple heart.
Yeah, it's terrible that I'm a valor medal, which is actually for great courage in the face of danger, especially in battle.
John, it's a country halfway around the world none of us have been to. I don't know why it's called that.
Valor is not a word different there than here.
It's called the Order of Valor Medal. That could be some type of reason they call it that. I don't know the backstory to the award. I just read you. It's the highest citizen.
I'm going to assume that valor means what valor means. I know that's very.
Right.
I'm being very hyper, but also too, he left.
You brought this upon yourself.
I did.
And he fled his country. He fled his country. He didn't have any. He didn't choose, and he begged France to take
play in the NBA.
No. for the Olympics, he begged France to take him. Documented. He begged France to take him. And then when France didn't agree to the terms, he then joined Team USA. If he had signed the document that he wrote, that he asked France to sign, he would have been playing for France.
I don't know why you hate Joel Embiid.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
dude, that is exactly how this comes across, and it sounds insane,
does,
John.
dude.
That's great.
The guy who's given a medal. Congratulations, Joel Embiid.
Congrats, Joe. Great valor. Great valor there.
Congrats, Joel Embiid.
Thank you, buddy.
2/3 of this show care about it.
Valor. Yeah, it's great. That's good.
If you guys like that
I'm
one,
glad. You should be glad that France didn't sign the document.
if you guys like that one, you're gonna love this one. We have a little bit of a beef, an inter-show beef, and it's not Joel Embiid related. And the guy who's coming up next had a conversation with me last night about it, Andrew DeCecco, because Andrew DeCecco, honorary member of Kincade Salciunas, who calls us 8 to 10, he ripped. I don't know if everyone out there saw our grip strength video that was posted on social media, but the morning show has some work to do, boys. And Andrew DeCecco put up an unofficial 155, which was not in the video.
Good for him.
I got a 122.4 here. And you guys and Brendan Gunn and Haley, we were having the conversation. And Andrew was like, I don't know. We're carrying a lot of the slack for the strength of the morning
what
show.
you know what he's doing right now? Do you know what he's doing right now?
Trying to promote himself.
This is his way to go, man, I'm strong.
Yeah, I think if you can't read that into it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
also-
that's even worse than being able to understand what valor
The
means.
best show ever cooked us. I mean,
I said in the little video that was put up by our man Dylan that I have never been told, nor have I ever lied to you and said that I'm strong. I am very comfortable with my weak arms. All right? I can pick up my son. That's all that matters.
I need you guys to understand this because I haven't started a war with the best show ever. And we're on great terms. But you guys keep trying to put us at war against a show that's stronger.
And if they're going to talk toughness, I'm going to say I know my level of toughness, and I know people who take off when they have the sniffles. So I'm just going to say let's not get into toughness.
I'm just saying, like, if we get into a war with the best show ever, and I got to be front line here, I want to know what I'm getting
Here's
into,
what you
boys.
need. Wave that shirt at them.
What do you mean? That's fine. It's only been 2 days. Need the Phillies to win more.
That was his way of saying, hey, I did a 122 on my grip.
No,
That's what it was.
No, that was my way of saying you guys are putting me in harm's way. Thinking I'll fight your battles for you.
No, because you could have just said what Andrew DeCecco did, but you had to throw yours in, too.
Well, it's a group. It's a group effort. Don't you put this on me. All right, we're going to end
You're the
with
only
this.
one that's putting anything on
then
anything.
we're gonna end with
They
this.
show great valor there,
John
Connor.
hates Joel Embiid. Andrew hates me. Everybody hates everybody.
We got
We're
valor,
moving on with
great
this.
valor on your
The
part.
question is, John, do they play tonight, and do you want them to play tonight? Let's face it, this is the last chance. They're not going to play in preseason week 3.
I'm gonna go back to this, and I'm going to continue to. We had the caller earlier who talked about it, Mike from Yardley. Like, I want them to play, but I think it's selfish, and I think if you're trying to come up with definitive reasons why they should or shouldn't play in either direction, unless injury is something you're terrified of, like I think you're self-serving in your explanation. I want them to play because I think I need to see something wipe the memory of last year before the regular season starts. But I don't know that it will help them in week 1, and I don't know it'll hurt them in week 1 if they do or don't. Like, I'm self-serving in that, and ultimately I think that's what this conversation about preseason reps comes down to. That's my personal opinion.
Okay. I believe that part of their issue last year was that they were not prepared for the season, and they benefited from playing the New England Patriots.
And you have facts to that because the coach told you at the post-game press conference that he made a mistake by not playing people.
And if he decides to not play anybody, they could go out there and win 40-0, or they could be 14-3 at halftime because the offense did not participate in the preseason. And then people will say, well, it's still early, be patient. And then I'll say, okay, well, your patience led to an 0-1 start against a team that will be fighting for that top seed in the conference. And that's just how
That's just what it is.
And like I said, there is no evidence to back up either claim.
If you're
it's
going,
just my belief.
If you're going to Green Bay in January, you're going to be pissed.
Yeah, my only argument is it's just it's personal belief, and there's not as much to it as some people will treat it as.
Right.
Like they have to do this or
But
have
you're
to
allowed
do that.
to-
I'm trusting the coach at his
allowed
word.
to do that.
You're allowed to have belief, and you're allowed to feel strongly about your belief.
Totally fair.
And I feel strongly about my belief. But I also see both sides. Like, I don't think, like, one side is right. It's just I don't want to hear, oh, it's a continuation of the preseason.
No.
And if they start off 0-1 because of it, then I'll say, all right, you told me it was a continuation of preseason. Everything better be better toward the end of the season. All right, let's head to the Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. From inside the Birds and, of course, everything that it does here at 97.5 The Fanatic. You'll hear his voice on the pregame show tonight with me and Connor and Bill Colarulo. That, of course, the great Andrew DeCecco joins us. Andrew, good morning. What's going on?
Hey, good morning. I'm doing great. How's everybody?
We are great. And, of course, the conversation about playing in the preseason, whether or not it's going to happen, is still happening. So I'll ask you, I mean, you were at the joint practice, so you saw the intensity. I don't know if it was intense. I'm asking you if it was intense, yes or no. Do you believe, based off of what you saw in the joint practice, will we see starters in the preseason game tonight?
Well, based on the 2-hour-plus practice, and it was intense, I thought I primarily focused on the defense, but I thought they got a lot of good work. And the offense, it was primarily Jalen Hurts and the first team and some second team that got a lot of run. So I think knowing that, Andrew, I don't know that you can get that or replicate that in a preseason game. So I have to think just 2 days later, that work would suffice. So I would be surprised to see them in tonight's game. I think if you were going to play them, it would have been in week 1. Had the weather been, different, I think you would have seen them. But as we get closer to the start of the season, I think it becomes more unlikely.
When I ask you, though, is that the head coach last year told us after the New England game that it was an error on his part, that if he had it to do over again, he would have played players in the preseason. How does he go back on that? He says he takes notes and he realizes so he doesn't make the same mistakes again. How's he rationalize it?
Right, and I was there for the week 1 game in New England, and that was a sloppy game. It was dreary out. I think Slay had an interception, but other than that, they weren't really able to manufacture much in terms of offense. But he also reserves the right to change his mind. He made that comment 11 months ago. You have different voices in there now, different opinions, and I also think that you have to take into account, did we get the work that we were hoping to get in OTAs and mandatory minicamp, which they didn't have previously? Are we getting quality? Am I liking what I'm seeing in training camp? Do I feel like the offense is where it should be at this stage of the, going into the regular season? If he is, then you can certainly make a case for why they're not playing.
Who stood out for the Eagles during joint practice the other day?
Well, offensively, Andrew, was a heavy A.J. Brown day. There was a lot of volume, but big plays eluded the offense. It was just very efficient, and there was a lot of intermediary completions to A.J. and Devontae. And there was a nice wheel route to Saquon Barkley about 30 yards where Matthew Judon, who's now been traded to the Atlanta Falcons, was in coverage. But defensively is where like I said, where I focus, and that was pretty much a sack brigade where it's easier for me to list off the players who didn't get sacks. I thought Jalen Carter was extremely disruptive. Jordan Davis was moving some guys around. Bryce Huff, to me, was the standout. I thought he picked up a sack, but he also was very physical against the run. Kobe Dean had 2 sacks. So I think that the Eagles' defense really rounded into form there. Granted, you have to take into context that the Patriots are not going to be a very formidable team this year, but I thought that the Eagles still capitalized nonetheless.
Are you concerned that Nolan Smith maybe isn't potentially going to make the splash that everyone's going to expect in year 2?
Initially, I was, John, because when he did flash in training camp, it's going against guys like Fred Johnson. It's going against someone like a Darian Kennard. Whereas when he's going against Lane Johnson, and to be fair, Bryce Huff has really struggled against him as well, you're not really seeing him make much of a dent. Even going against Mailata, he's just not doing a whole lot. But I thought, going against another team, that's the best gauge that you can have at this stage about where he is. And I thought Nolan looked a lot more explosive. He used his hands well. He picked up a sack, and he seemed a little bit more active. But we're not really going to be able to know where he is entirely until we see him out there in a regular rotation and see if he's really able to make that second-year leap.
How comfortable are you with the defense right now?
I have some questions, particularly at the second and third level, because when New England was able to move the ball the other day, when Jacoby Brissett and Drake May were able to kind of find some success, it was getting the ball out quickly into the flats to the running backs, getting it over the second level right behind the linebackers and picking them apart with, Demario Douglas, the wide receiver, some of the tight ends like Austin Hooper. And I think that's going to be a problem area. I think you're going to see a lot of teams try to execute the death by 1,000 cuts approach and try to bleed the Eagles to death and move down the field if they're not able to get home with regularity.
I'm looking at the Eagles as a team that I think's winning the division. And I said the other day that I wrote a piece for the Fanatic website that I think they're going to be the number 1 seed. But when I really do look at the depth charts, I wonder if there's just too many question marks about this roster to believe that this team is potentially New Orleans bound in February.
So I think you can look at it defensively, John, and say, yes, they're extremely lean at safety. Linebacker, I don't have as much questions as a lot of folks do. I know they're a little bit unsettled there at this point, but I think they have a lot of players who have different skill sets that can match what Vic Fangio wants to do on a given play. Where are you concerned depth-wise? Wide receiver?
I'm wide receiver 3. We've been talking about that one this morning. I also wonder if, too, we are just expecting too many guys who haven't shown us at the NFL level that they're ready to contribute on a 40-snap, 50-snap basis at linebacker, at safety, at corner. That maybe there's just too many question marks for us to just nod our heads and believe it's all going to work out.
Yeah, in the pass rush department, that's where I have my biggest question marks, because you're asking someone like a Bryce Huff to step up and play. He's going to have to, I imagine, play 70% plus of the snaps, which is what Hassan Reddick did. He's only played 45 in his career. So that's a big ask for somebody. You don't know if he's going to wear down, still be as effective as he was later, in spurts last season. He's not very great, not very good against the run. And then a guy like Nolan Smith, he's the X factor in this whole equation because he has not done it. He played just 16% of the snaps last year. Yes, he's flashed this summer, but he's an unknown variable going into the season. So when you have such a young secondary as the Eagles do, when you have a lot of question marks in your pass rush and if they're not able to get home, then I think you can exploit that back end a little bit.
We're speaking to Andrew DeCecco on the Comcast Business Hotline. What's the latest with the right guard battle between Mekhi Becton and Tyler Steen?
Yeah, Andrew, Mekhi Becton has a pretty firm grip on that job right now. He is very consistent. He looked pretty good in the joint practice, although Tyler Steen got some work with the twos and did look. He had a nice block where he put a lineman on their backside, and then he got to the second level. You like to see the athleticism there. But, he had some penalties in that first game. I just think Mekhi Becton has been the more consistent player when both players have been healthy and going head-to-head. And you just see the size and athleticism there. I think Jeff Stoutland's really intrigued with what he can bring, and he continues to widen that gap between him and Tyler Steen.
I'm going to suggest to Scott, our boss, that maybe you don't do the pregame show tonight. Because, I don't want to see your voice go out before the opener. We may need to rest you. We got to take it very careful here.
I'm ready. I'm ready for anything. So I'm a little bit different in that regard.
You are different. I'm not going to disagree with you on that one, buddy.
Andrew, last thing before we let you go is something that hit me, and we'll talk about this obviously as the season gets closer. Is there anybody that's on the bubble right now, making a roster spot, like a name that people know that's a roster bubble guy that could be on his way out?
I would say Avonte Maddox. Because if you have Cooper DeJean that's returning, which he did on Tuesday, and he starts to get up to speed pretty quickly, well, there's your nickel. Quinyon Mitchell can also play nickel. You added Caden Stearns at safety, and obviously if you're adding a player who failed his physical, you like him enough to know that when he is healthy, he's going to have a role. Avonte has, at least when he's been playing safety, he seems to be a tick slow to react. When he's going up in one-on-ones, he doesn't have the same foot quickness as I've seen. And I think he's someone that you can release and probably get on the practice squad and keep one of the younger players and not expose them to waivers.
Andrew, you're the man. We appreciate it as always.
He's ready for the season.
He is ready for the season.
He's had enough snaps.
He may not need reps, but I would like to still talk to you tonight during the pregame show, so I hope to hear from you.
Very much looking forward to it. I'll see you, I'll be there around 5.
All right, sounds good. There he is, Andrew DeCecco on the Comcast Business Hotline. Does a great job covering the Eagles for Inside the Birds. And, of course, here at 97.5 The Fanatic.
Before every game and after every game, he'll be with us on this show, too, which is great.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a fun football season, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. Coming up next, we'll dive a little bit deeper into the preseason game for tonight, what we want to see. And also, we will replay you the clip from Dan Orlovsky. Jalen Hurts, he believes, is more of a question mark than a known commodity at this point following last season. Where are you when it comes to that? 610-632-0975, the number you can call in or text in. We'll get to some text messages next as well. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A comeback win for the Phillies. I'm Connor Thomas. This update is brought to you by Wendy's.
Tunis 97.5, The Fanatic. On this Wendy's Thursday morning, let's go with caller number... Do we just go to 3? Because we've done 1, 2.
Why not?
And now 3. Call number 3 to the contest line, 215-263-0975. We'll win our third of our 4 Wendy's gift cards that we have. $50 worth of Wendy's gift cards. Wendy's new Saucy Nugs are taking nugs to a whole new level. Choose from 7 different flavors for a whole new way to nug. It's got to be Wendy's, open until midnight or later. At participating U.S. Wendy's, hour may vary by location. Caller number 3 will get our third $50 Wendy's gift card, 215-263-0975. All right, let's play the Dan Orlovsky clip. Let's get a couple text messages, and then I do want to talk a little bit about the preseason tonight. Let's go with the exception of the starters playing, and then let's also be ready to talk about the backups because there's a strong chance the starters won't be playing, and if they do play, it's for a series or 2. But here's Dan Orlovsky. He joined us yesterday. You can hear the whole interview on 97.5thefanatic.com. Dan we had him on to talk about Jalen Hurts because remember, he put out that top 10 list based off of 7 different attributes to being a quarterback. And Jalen Hurts is only in the top 10 for 2 of them. So we wanted to talk to Dan and see what his beliefs are about Jalen Hurts. Just because he's not in the top 10 for a lot of these categories, does that mean he thinks higher or less of Jalen Hurts? Here he is talking about QB1.
Right now, Jalen, for me, is a little bit more of a question mark than a known commodity. And what I mean by that is, with the new offensive coordinator coming off of the season that he had, we don't know exactly how he's going to transition into this new offense and exactly who he is as a player. You know, we have one unbelievably dominant season back in 2022 when he played at an MVP level, and everyone knows, and obviously in the Super Bowl, might have won the Super Bowl MVP. And then last year was, I don't want to say the complete opposite of that, but a significant opposite of that, where he really struggled. And was he injured? Was he not? All that. And so we've got those 2 seasons that are kind of the opposites of each other with a player going into a new offense. And for me, I'm sitting there going, okay, I want to see kind of what he is in this offense. Are they going to run him as much? All that.
So it's not that he doesn't believe in him. It's just he doesn't know who Jalen Hurts is. And Connor, you kind of talked about that yesterday. You were like, Jalen Hurts might be the hardest quarterback in the NFL to try to evaluate.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Orlovsky's saying there. And I don't think it's a knock on Jalen Hurts. Now, some of the other stuff he said about the specifics in his rankings, I think may have been knocks that I don't necessarily agree with. Mm-hmm. But I have Jalen Hurts as more of a question mark. And I think it's a very high ceiling. But I really don't know how you can evaluate what Jalen Hurts has done and be confident about what he's going to do this season.
Right, like you can say that somebody will win, like this quarterback will win because of his arm. Or this quarterback will win because of his legs. Or this quarterback will win because he doesn't make mistakes. He just puts the ball in the right spot. Like I'll use Brock Purdy as an example. Jalen Hurts has won with all of those.
Yes.
Right? Like Jalen Hurts.
He's won with all of those things.
But hasn't he also lost with all of those things?
Exactly. and you don't know, like, what is Jalen Hurts elite at? I believe when healthy, he is an elite running quarterback. Maybe not as good as Lamar, but if he's not 1, he's 2, right? So when he's healthy.
See, I'm going to say 2022, he was the best quarterback in the entire NFL from the pocket passing. I think he is, when proper pocket is there, Jalen Hurts has been an elite passer.
Do you believe that he is an elite pocket quarterback?
Yes. I believe I don't believe you could be anything less than very good if you could lead over an entire season as the best quarterback from the pocket. The one thing I think he is an elite deep ball thrower, especially sideline patterns.
Yes, absolutely.
He's really, really good. I think there's a lot of things that he does extremely well. And also, too, I know for 2 consecutive years, not Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback's name is Jalen Hurts, who has led the MVP odds on December 1st, 2022 and 2023. Not Patrick Mahomes, not any other quarterback.
Right.
Not Joe Burrow, he injured. Not Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts. Mm-hmm. So I think at times we undersell Jalen Hurts in this team.
That might be true.
More than we oversell.
But it also might just be like, okay.
What are you going to say? Are you going to say team, though? I'm wondering.
No, I'm going to say something that this is no shot at Jalen Hurts. Okay?
Okay.
He's not my kind of quarterback.
Okay.
I want a strong arm quarterback.
All right. So when you say strong arm, give me the quarterbacks in the NFL that you would say fit the category of what you want.
Like Josh Allen. Now, Josh Allen
is reckless with the football.
Reckless, right? No, exactly.
So you're willing to I'm trying to think of how do you value?
Well, look, you know how people do the whole what's the perfect quarterback, and they take every attribute. I would not take Jalen Hurts' arm.
No, I would not either.
Right? Like
I would not either.
Like there's a lot. Like I am a guy that I want a quarterback that can move around a little bit, right? Like I don't need them to be Peyton Manning that can't move.
Sure.
Right? Like I think you need to be able to move, especially the more and more athletic these defensive ends are getting, and especially defensive tackles. Like we joked around about this yesterday. Gone are the days of Albert Hainsworth. Like Aaron Donald is now, coming up the A gap, not blitzing. No, just as a pass rusher, as a defensive tackle.
Thank God he won't be this year.
Exactly.
Though.
Thank God he's retired. So I need a quarterback with still some mobility, and clearly Jalen Hurts' legs are a weapon. But it seems like that's his biggest weapon. I would rather my quarterback's biggest weapon to be his arm.
I really don't. I think that is, and I know you're not doing it like as a put down.
No.
I think you're selling them short. I mean, for any quarterback in their career, let alone their second year as a full-time starter, to lead the NFL in pocket passing, I think you are underselling him. I think you're underselling the guy. And I don't think you're doing it because, yes, his attributes as a runner are fantastic.
They are.
But he's proven.
No, he stood tall. No, he stood tall in the pocket too.
When he has a good pocket.
But I'm talking about arm strength.
Like, I know that. No, arm strength. You have no argument.
Like I
for
thought
me.
Carson Wentz was going to be the franchise quarterback for 10 years.
So did I.
Right? And
I thought 15.
And it's because I fell in love with his arm.
So did I.
Right? Like there are
So you want Justin Herbert?
It sounds
not
like
the guy
you want Herbert.
He plays as, but you want the type of quarterback he is.
Yes, he's a guy that has some mobility, right? And a guy that can throw the football. Like, I would never want Justin Fields as my quarterback. And I know he's obviously not played very well as a first-round pick, but forget that for a second.
But, like, that style.
Like, I've seen him unable to throw his team back into games. It's great that guy could break an 80-yard run at any time. If you're down 2 scores and you can't throw yourself back into a game and that clock just keeps on tick, 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 ticking because you're running the football every other play, that's not going to help you win.
You're more Josh Allen than Lamar. Yeah, I think those are two pretty comparable players.
Yeah, I think it's comparable.
Do I believe Lamar Jackson's a better quarterback? Hell yes. Not even close. Lamar Jackson's a better quarterback than Josh Allen. Would I rather have a prototype strong arm?
Like the type of player they are. Okay,
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm
the opposite.
Because the one thing I would say is Justin Herbert is that Justin Herbert can't throw his team back into games. His team loses.
Well, no,
And
I'm
his
not
team-
saying I don't
No, I
want
get
Justin
you.
Herbert.
No, I get what you're saying.
Right.
I mean, but is that just because a guy's got a big arm, a lot of times they're reckless or just unable to get it done.
Brett Favre,
right?
Prime example. I mean, that guy had a cannon, but that guy was a dope.
He sent the Eagles to an NFC title game with one of the worst interceptions I've ever seen.
Right, exactly.
Also, was a dope, is a dope.
Is
But-
a dope,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. Like, I like the dual threat quarterback. Like, I'm taking like the C.J. Stroud, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson guys over anybody, just because that's the style of play I like. But I understand what you're saying. I don't know, man. There may be a bigger conversation that's not just Jalen Hurts that's very hard to evaluate quarterbacks right now.
Yeah.
Because of all the things they're asked to do and how much money is put into the position and how much more they have to carry on their shoulders. There also is something, too, that I think changes when you have a guy running the league. And make no mistake, there's one quarterback, and then there's everybody else.
Right.
In past, we've evaluated quarterbacks' greatness, that top tier on who can win you a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And even with Brady, there were moments where Peyton had his moments, Roethlisberger had his moments, like Flacco snuck one in there. Right now, with this era of quarterbacks, or at least this next generation, it's just Mahomes and everybody else.
And, oh, by the way, all 4 of those quarterbacks that you just mentioned were statues.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, statue in the pocket, if it's clean, they're making great throws. But if it breaks down a little bit, they're falling down. Whereas Jalen Hurts can make a 15-yard play. Like, that's not, like, I love that out of Jalen Hurts. He can make a play that looks like it's going to be about a 4-yard loss and gain 15 yards off.
Different game back then, too.
Absolutely.
But my point is, I wonder if there are a lot of quarterbacks that have question marks because, 1, you can't win it all because Mahomes is there.
Right.
And 2, there's so much more you ask him to do.
Yeah, I mean, I would tell you the door's been open, though. Like, you can't win it all because Mahomes is there. The door's been open to beat Patrick Mahomes 2 years in a row. He had a 16th ranked defense the year the Eagles lost to him in the Super Bowl. And that game was there for the taking, and self-inflicted wounds cost you the game.
Right.
And then last year, you had Patrick Mahomes. They were booed off their home field on Thanksgiving. I mean, on Christmas.
That was the
losing to the Raiders.
It was a Raiders game,
and so they've been there for the taking, just people have not taken advantage.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you evaluate based on how you do win, like when you win.
Sure.
And if Joe Burrow had won a Super Bowl, like, we know where he stands.
Yes.
Like, if Jalen Hurts had won, we know where he stands. Because
Right.
it's just Mahomes,
Right.
it's so hard to figure out who's where.
His stature's amazing.
Coming up next, we dive a little deeper into this preseason game tonight, and also your text messages. You can text the show. You can call the show 610-632-0975. In the 9 o'clock hour, you're going to want to hear this. Brandon Graham, speaking of Jalen Hurts, Brandon Graham talked about Jalen Hurts and how he's in a much better place. We'll play that for you around 9:10. So still a lot to come on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. Like I said, still to come, Brandon Graham has a message about how it looks like Jalen Hurts has changed a little bit. You'll hear that coming up at 9:10. I also saw something interesting on CBS. They ran through every team in the NFL. No, I don't want. That's your. That's all you, brother. That's
not. Okay.
That's your wheelhouse. What's that? Are you playing? Are you playing casino games over there?
That? It's my screensaver's making noise. There it is. Screensaver's making noise.
Lock it up in there, boys. It's game day.
I thought Connor was fading something up. I was like, what?
There it is,
what are you
too.
about to...
bro. I ain't touching nothing in here.
CBS did an article on the breakout player for every team in the NFL.
Okay.
Obviously, I'll go through a couple of them. Who they believe will be the breakout player for every team in the NFL. They have one player, so I'll tell you who that is on CBS, and then I want our answers. We'll do that a little less than an hour, around 9:30. But let's check the text line, Connor. Our topics today, preseason week number 2. Do you believe we'll see the starters tonight? And do you want to see the starters tonight? And Dan Orlovsky says that Jalen Hurts is more of a question mark than a known commodity. Your response to that at 610-632-0975. And, of course, the Phillies still on the table. Breath of fresh air, man. Breath of fresh air that they won yesterday. Thank you, Kyle Schwarber. If he does not do that, I don't know if they win that ballgame. I know they tacked on a few more runs later on in the game.
I don't think they do.
I don't know, man. Like
there was a exhale in the entire building.
Yeah,
the moment that happened.
And we've seen sports a million times, like the Phillies in the not to bring up bad memories, but the NLCS last year. Was it the 7th inning? Turner and Harper.
Was that when Harper hit one right to the wall?
Yeah, and
is that the one that like
Turner also got out,
and
right?
They caught it right at the wall.
That was the 7th inning. I knew the game was over.
You did?
Yeah, you just kind of feel it, right?
That was
wasn't it?
Yeah,
one run.
Yeah, that was one of those games.
Though,
you just go, that was a shot.
That was the point, right?
That
would have been bedlam at the bank again,
and it didn't go over, or not even a home run. They just didn't score a run. They didn't tie the ball game. You just knew. So the bottom of the order is going to have to. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, this one's over. All right. So, but a breath of fresh air that win yesterday. So, what do we got on the text line, Connor?
All right. We got to check in from Joe the Cynic, who says, I play Sunday League Baseball like Andrew. If I have a bad game or I get hit around when I'm pitching, I can't wait to get out there the next week. I couldn't imagine being on a national scale, knowing my team collapsed. I'd be chomping at the bit to get out there mentally to just erase what happened last year.
Right. And
yes.
And I wonder if. It's curious. You said that you've talked to a few people that the offensive members were surprised.
There were members of the offense who were surprised.
I'm curious. Were they also upset?
No. That was not. No.
They didn't care.
The word upset was not used.
Okay.
The word was that they were surprised that they got told, you're not playing, because they had actually believed they were going to be playing.
Okay, so I wonder if they actually.
No, it wasn't in any way. I don't want to portray it in any way.
No, I know that. I'm trying. I wonder if you could follow up with said person. Like, were they like, damn man, really? Come on, we want to play. Or were they like, all right, coach?
Yeah.
Where are my sweatpants at?
How about this? The fact that I wasn't then told that they were upset tells me that all I need to know.
That they were fine.
That they were fine with it. They were like, okay. Like, I think we would worry about it more than they would.
Yeah, I don't think they care, but that also tells me, right? Like, I think Nick Sirianni had full intention of playing the guys before the turf thing came up. Whether the turf thing was valid or not, like, it may have been a dumb decision on his part based on somebody's evaluation of the field surface. But that sounds like he told his starters,
yeah,
I do want to play you.
They thought they were playing. As of the morning breakfast routine that they did.
Right.
They thought they were playing.
That's why I take Sirianni at his word. I just think he evaluated it incorrectly.
Yeah. Yeah, or
I'm not shocked.
Or gave a bad
yeah. Right. Like, I don't think he lied. I think it was dumb reasoning.
Well, I think dumb reasoning.
Yeah, and then he probably went up to Vic and said, "Hey Vic, taking the offensive stars off the weather, the field," and Vic goes, "All right, my guys are playing."
Yeah, my guys are playing. Like,
and then he probably said, "Yeah, okay, Vic, whatever you want to do, Vic."
Yeah, I don't think he's doing 2 creams, 1 sugar, but he's, not Mike Johnson.
All right, what else do we have on the text line?
All right, we have a check-in here from Randy and Ambler, who says, we're still talking about preseason and practice. I hope you guys aren't trying to say that if the Eagles lose week 1, it'll be because of the fact that the starters didn't play one series in the preseason or camp wasn't as difficult. If so, that argument is silly. It's sports. A team is going to lose doesn't mean one team was ill-prepared.
If they lose 36-35, I won't say anything.
Correct.
If they're down 14-3 at halftime, and look, they could turn things around the second
And the
half.
offense looks like crap.
You could be down 14-3 at halftime. You could lose 28-24.
And I'm.
I would say.
You had a whole half where you
that 11-point
around.
deficit.
Yep.
I'm just saying, it's an eye test thing.
Right. There's nuance to the conversation.
Right. Like if they lose, but they played an amazing game, but Jordan Love is the guy that people are making him out to be. Right.
If it's 35-31, nobody would go in with that argument.
Right.
But if you spend a half not in rhythm off, and then you have to make some big comeback and you fall short.
Right.
That is a problem. Nick Sirianni told us this was a problem last
year. Week 1.
So it's not a silly argument.
No,
it's not silly. It's his words.
Coming up next, we reset the show some more of your text messages. Brandon Graham on Jalen Hurts. This should make you happy.
Good.
When's your brother's wedding, Connor?
October 25th.
Oh, okay. There is a website called The Knot, which is like a wedding website.
Yeah, that's what they're on.
They have one of the top 5 most popular wedding dates in 2024. And, man, if you're a guest, you might not be happy.
Oh, no.
It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
I'm on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. Don't forget, coming up at 10 o'clock, the Mike Missanelli Show with Bill Colarulo and Ray Dunn.
He keeps coming back.
He does.
So if you bet the under, he's going to be here today. So if you bet under 3.5 shows, you're wrong.
I love that. He'll be here. So that comes your way at 10 o'clock. We're going to go through this CBS article at 9:30. They are predicting the breakout player for each team in the NFL. We'll give ours, and then we'll also react to what they said about the Eagles. And Brandon Graham talked about Jalen Hurts. We'll play that for you coming up in a little bit. But I mentioned this before we reset the entire show. So your brother's wedding is the 22nd?
25th.
The 25th. My apologies, the 25th of October. So the Knot, which is a big
wedding site,
website, if you've gotten married in, I would say, recent years, because obviously you didn't have we
did not have the Knot
website back in the day. The Knot is the website where you put the gifts that you want on there and the dates and all that kind of stuff. So the Knot keeps track of all these things. And of the 5 most popular wedding dates in 2024, October 12th is in the top 5.
Okay.
That's a problem.
If you are a
Saturday, October 12th.
If you are a college football fan.
Okay.
Maybe you don't necessarily have like a specific love affair for a team. You're just a college football fan. Ohio State, Oregon, right now, the 2-3.
The 2 best teams in the Big Ten, in the new Big Ten.
Texas and Oklahoma, the Red River rivalry.
That's nice. And now both of them in the SEC.
Yep. And Texas ranked 4th preseason, Oklahoma 16th. Ole Miss and LSU.
Yeah.
That's 6-13, dude.
That's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
It's 2 top 15 teams.
I got you.
And then Penn State and USC. This all on the same date.
That's bad.
The most popular wedding date this year is Saturday, September 21st, a week before FanFest. You would be missing Tennessee and Oklahoma, 15-16, Michigan and USC, 9-23, Utah and Oklahoma, 12-17, and Clemson and NC State, 14-24.
Someone that we all know and love, and I'm not going to expose the date. They chose that Friday, September 6th, as their wedding
during
date.
the break, man.
And then the Eagles end up playing the first NFL game in 52 years on a Friday.
Like how?
Not only does the NFL play on Friday for the first time in 52 years, the Eagles play on Friday for the first time in 52 years.
And that just sucks.
That's terrible.
Like,
that's terrible.
I might have the worst one of all of these. Like, I might take
that?
the college football dates. What could possibly be going on October 25th?
Playoffs, baby.
No, it's World Series Game 1.
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
if
that
the
could be
Phillies
World
are in the
Series
World
Game 1
Series, I will be at my brother's wedding during the World Series game.
When the Phillies will be in the World Series.
Your brother's wedding's not going on at 8, right? What time's the wedding?
Bro, it's going all night.
Yeah,
no, I understand.
It'll probably go till 11
But the thing is, though, you won't care if the reception's even had 3 hours.
Yeah, but
I guarantee you there'll be TVs.
I'm the best man. I got to give a speech and stuff like that.
But
Like,
you
I
do
don't
that
know
in
how
the
late we're
beginning
going
of
to
the
be doing that.
But you do that in the first hour of the reception.
I don't know, Johnny. I don't know at my brother's wedding if I could just go in the corner and watch the Phils.
Would your brother be cool with it?
I mean, he would, but my mom would not be.
Will there be a TV? Will there be a TV at the reception somewhere? Like
Dude, he just found out where he was staying in Arizona last week.
Like, I mean,
Do you think he knows?
I found
there
out the date like a week and a half ago. I don't know that there's a TV.
There has to be, though.
I don't know if there has to be. Mine didn't.
I will just give you the story, and hopefully not listening. I know somebody who had a wedding whose bride said there will be no football on at our wedding, and everybody was like, "Dude, that's a huge red flag." Let's just say within 3 years, it was a huge red flag. They're no longer married. I'm just saying.
Nah, I would just feel bad. I would feel bad because it's family. And no one's telling me not to, but I would definitely feel the pressure to not watch.
Oh, my gosh.
And look, dude,
also, I consume sports a little bit different.
I'll say this. I don't think my wife would be all cool about it.
No, I don't think that I don't think any bride would be thrilled.
That's what I'm saying.
But I don't know. But I know this. My wife would never say, no way is people going to be catching the World Series game.
Right.
Well, she would not be thrilled that, oh, my gosh, are you kidding me? My wedding day is going to be upstaged by a World Series game?
Yeah.
But she would never be the type of person to go, Well, you're not. No one will be watching.
Yeah,
Right.
if I'm watching quietly, but the first time it's Castellanos, what the bleep are you doing? Screamed from the corner of the wedding. I don't think they're going to be very happy.
In the middle of the speech, and then you're
You
going,
don't even know
what?
This is the bottom line of this. You don't even know what time the wedding is.
Nope.
Connor, is it now? Do you blame this on your family or do you blame this on you? That you're not like you.
There's nothing to blame. I'm doing this right.
Like you have no idea what time your brother's wedding is.
Someone will always tell me.
See,
I don't miss anything. When am I ever late for anything? When do I miss stuff?
No, but I'm just saying is
the wedding time, I don't.
Yes,
blame.
but it matters for a World Series game. World Series game is going to be first pitch 8:15.
Right. I'm proud of him for knowing the wedding date.
It's good for me.
No, seriously, that's a start.
No, but I mean, here, if it's first pitch, if his brother gets married at 1 or 2,
Yeah.
reception begins around 4.
Well, that's a problem
Then
because
you-
I won't
then-
be
then
able to
the-
watch baseball after 7 hours.
after
of
a
that.
couple
I'm saying.
hours of
Yeah, but
wedding
the thing
receptions.
is, though, his responsibilities as best man will be done in the first hour of a reception. You're walked in, you walk into the DJ introducing everybody, you give your speech within a little bit. Your responsibilities are done by 8 o'clock, unless it's if it's a late afternoon wedding.
There's other responsibilities.
That party, bro.
My bridesmaid.
Yeah,
Oh,
what?
all right. Well, easy.
Oh, jeez.
I'm just saying. I don't know.
Listen,
This
man, I'm there
group-
for the speech and the cake, and that's it. And I'm talking about actual cake.
Real quick, a little bit of news in the NFL here. And it's something to keep an eye on because I'd be curious. I would be curious because you guys know how I feel about Reed Blankenship. The Giants just released Jalen Mills. He was on the same injured list that Cooper DeJean was on.
Yeah, he's
non-football related.
He hasn't been able to practice him with that.
He's
right?
healthy now. According to Adam Schefter, here's how the tweet reads. Source, Giants have released veteran defensive back Jalen Mills, who is on the NFL list with the calf strain, the NFI list with the calf strain. Mills is healthy now and is expected to draw interest. He's not coming here to be a 100% of the snap guy, at least I don't think.
I could see him coming back and seeing another veteran leave.
What, the James Bradbury?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that would be the case or not. I still think Bradbury could be flipped at roster.
Well, and that's the thing. And Jalen Mills has played safety.
Could he Avonte Maddox? Is he a better option than Avonte Maddox? Is what I was more thinking Avonte Maddox. You're thinking Bradbury. I'm thinking Avonte Maddox. That would you rather take your chance with Jalen Mills?
I mean, he's healthy. Like Jalen Mills is healthy. Played all 17 games last year. Only 10 the year before, but 16 the year before that.
I think I would take my chances. And he obviously loves it here.
He loves it here, and he also knows this kind of scheme. Jim
Correct.
Schwartz, different than Vic Fangio.
I wouldn't be shocked to see this happen quickly.
Yeah,
I really wouldn't.
Or look, I would. The Eagles love Reed Blankenship. I don't mean to sigh. They just.
Okay, your sigh says it all, though. I don't mean to roll my eyes. I don't mean to roll my eyes.
I don't think he's. Last year he was just he's our starting. He's our starting safety.
Is he better at? He's better at ball hawking than Jalen Mills.
Might be.
The ball finds Reed Blankenship there for whatever his weaknesses are,
right,
and whatever his perceived weaknesses are too. The ball finds him.
I'm not even saying I have to bring in Jalen Mills to play over.
No, I'd love to. I'd take him right now over Avonte Maddox.
Okay,
I absolutely would, and I think Howie's smart. If he sees this as a fit, it'll work. I wouldn't trust Avonte Maddox, and I said it. I was shocked.
No, you can't. Just because, look, I wasn't shocked because they brought him back for nothing, right? Like for no money
and
whatsoever.
That's why I wouldn't be shocked to see him go.
Right, it's Rashad Penny all over again. Rashad Penny, they brought him in here for
By the way,
a couple pennies a couple dollars last year.
I was one of those people that kept asking to see him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just raising my hand. Sometimes our analysis is not the best.
And then he retired this year. All right,
but
so
he still got it. They missed their opportunity with him.
Dude, I saw a tweet yesterday that made me laugh. And it's we were so, I want to say the word.
What?
We were so bleeped up last year watching the Eagles last season. We were so messed up that I know I did that. I saw a tweet and I was like, oh my God, I said the exact same stuff. Well, maybe they're hiding some of the things from the offensive play.
I laughed at that.
I know, but I was so messed up because the offense was so bad.
Yeah,
it
dude.
sucked. They had the same 3 or 4 plays.
They did.
And they were playing bad competition. The Seahawks were on a good defense. The Giants, they played them twice. The Cardinals, they were playing once. And I think everybody kind of thought, all right, they're going to be better. They're just going to beat them because they're more talented.
You know why you believed that, though?
Because Sirianni did that.
Also, too, so did your tight end, Dallas Goedert.
I remember he did say
also alluded to it like, you don't always show everything.
You're right.
He did.
He did say that.
So, I think now, in retrospect, Dallas Goedert was trying to be a class act.
Maybe, yeah.
And was trying not to throw the coaches under the bus and be a class act because I know that is his character.
But that's how bleeped up we were.
Yeah.
It was
I
bad.
kept on thinking, all right, maybe come playoff time they'll show something different. They'll do some little things. They did the exact same thing. The Rashad Penny thing. Oh, well, maybe they're. How many times did you hear from people? I wasn't one of them, but there are people saying, well, maybe they're saving him for the playoffs.
I had people say it to me after the San Francisco game. I came in here the day after that game and had people saying, God, do you ever think that the Eagles wanted to run a really vanilla game plan offensively and defensively because they know they're going to face them again to go to the Super Bowl? And I was just like, that might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
You can't do that, right?
Give up home field advantage.
We're getting freaking gaslit by every team in this town. The Eagles are doing it. The Phillies are doing it. The Sixers are doing it. At least the Flyers are up front with us. But every team is like, oh, we're masquerading as a contender, and then they're not. Or we're hiding this, and then they're not. They're gaslighting us, and I won't stand for it anymore.
It's unbelievable. We were so messed up by this team.
We were. They got in our collective community heads.
And I think Jalen Hurts was messed up by last season a little bit, and we all noticed something, that he looked miserable.
Yeah, he did look miserable.
And he didn't look...
He looked constipated.
Yes.
He did. He did. He looked constipated. Yeah, that look on his face.
You're not wrong.
I was saying, go in the tent, dude. Go in the tent.
And we're all sitting there going, man, just have some fun. Because I remembered in 2022, he was smiling, he was laughing, he was having a good time. Last year, it just seemed like he had the weight of the world on his shoulders. And obviously, he didn't agree with the offensive game plan. But it even started early.
He was pouty.
Early on in the season, he looked pouty.
He was pouty McPoo-Poo last year.
And what? I don't think we were the only ones that noticed it. Clearly, there have been things that have come out anonymously from the Eagles camp, right?
And
There's been reports. Yeah, and teammates. And this one, here's Brandon Graham. He doesn't really talk much about Hurts and his facial expressions last year, but he's talking about how the facial expressions so far in camp are better and different.
I mean, you could just see that Jalen's getting comfortable by the day, and just the way he's moving even quicker than he was last year. I think he was probably dealing with some stuff last year, but you can tell that he got a new and improved, view of, just life this year. And I'm excited for him because you can tell that he is excited. You see him, like, y'all always be on him about smiling, but I know him personally, so it'd be like, it's like that boy is really happy with what's going on, so I can't wait to see him go out there and do his thing.
Can I tell you, though, as much as I love Brandon Graham, I don't trust anything he says. Because last year... Last year, it was after last year. It was just... The media
fired Sean Desai.
Media fired Sean Desai, which we now know was 100% patently false. So he knew that at the time that he said it. Brandon Graham is such a great guy, but I don't trust.
He's Mr. Positive.
I think he's just going to spin whatever he wants to spin, whatever he wants to.
All right, fine. Then let's just forget.
Let's hope he's right.
Let's just forget Brandon Graham for a second.
I'm hoping he's right.
Based off of the footage that the Eagles have posted on social media, it seems like Jalen Hurts looks a little bit more relaxed this year. Like, I see him smiling. And I know that doesn't sound like that big of a deal.
It doesn't, but it is. Right?
When I saw him last year, and look, week one could be a telltale sign. If they score a touchdown, is he just going to go up to the player who scores and just kind of pat him on the rear end and say, let's go get more? Or is he going to celebrate with his teammates? Because 2 years ago, he would celebrate with his teammates. He wouldn't do. I remember Wentz would throw a touchdown pass from the 40-yard line, and Wentz would sprint from the 40
to be a part of the bowling, whatever the bowling was.
I'm not saying Hurts needs to do that, but like on the sideline, a little high five, a little.
Remember,
happiness.
But think back to 22. There was a game where they were clowning the Giants. If you remember that one in the back end of 22, the Super Bowl year, they're clowning the Giants in a game. And Devontae and AJ are absolutely like having a blast, sitting on the bench, laughing and joking. And here's Jalen sitting next to them, like shaking his head, like sort of miserable, like shaking his head, like, guys, there's work to be done. And they were up by like 30 at the time. And I remember it being a thing that they showed it, and boy, he never loses that game face. That game face in 22 which people actually appreciated, became the game face in 23
that people
he was
hated.
getting ripped for.
Yeah.
It matters everything matters in context.
It does.
You know?
But every once in a while, like, it's okay to it's okay to let a smile out. Like,
Right.
if you make a good play, like, look,
It's okay to be okay.
Playing sports is awesome, right? No matter what level you're at. You could be playing pickup, you could play Sunday league, you could play NFL professional. If you make a cool play,
enjoy it.
Enjoy it. Like, I don't care what level you're at. Patrick Mahomes dives, throws sidearm, eyes closed, and celebrates. You know why? Because it's cool.
Or he'll do the
or he'll do that.
he'll
Because,
do the hands like what?
Well,
How did that happen?
Because he's the GOAT. But but he enjoys it. Like, it doesn't always have to be business.
That's why I was so proud of Jeremiah Trotter Jr. not pulling out a dance routine.
Oh, no, I wanted to see the sack.
No, I want to see it when it's his first sack in the NFL.
Okay.
I agree.
I want to see him do it when it's for real, and I guarantee you that's what it was.
The problem is I don't know that he'll get one.
I think, why?
Well,
yes, you do. You know he's going to. How about this? Here's one thing we know, Connor. We can say this. There is a lot of fifth-round picks have to show that they belong.
Yeah.
And he is absolutely, from every single account, he has shown that he belongs. He belongs there.
Against, like, comparatively with the Eagles linebacking
core. Even in practices as an Eagle, in Eagles practices, they appear very pleased with what they've seen.
I'm rooting for the kid. I think he can play at this level.
Yeah,
but
I'm not about to jump.
And I didn't want to draft him in the first 2 days.
No.
I was like, do not.
And I'm glad that
people
they
were
didn't.
like, they should have taken him earlier. No, they shouldn't.
I just know how Eagles linebackers have worked the past decade, so I'm not going to count those chickens till they hatch.
Dude, the trot thing. I was with a couple of my buddies last weekend.
Okay.
I was with a couple of my friends, right?
Oh no.
And my buddy Sal, what's
up, Sal?
Calls in the station every once in a while. I like it. It put a smile on my face, right? Man, I'm so happy Trot's on the team. It was the day after it was Saturday. It was last Saturday, so it was the day after the preseason game.
That Trot.
And he's like, man, I'm going to buy a Trot jersey.
Oh,
and I'm like,
dude.
You know what?
Sal, come on now.
No, but
too early.
Whatever you want to do, man. Like, that's awesome. Like, there are people that are so happy that Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is on this team. So be it.
Like, Liv wants another Phillies jersey for Christmas or for her birthday. And she was telling me last night the players she picked. And I went, I don't know. It's a pitcher.
Sanchez?
Suarez.
Ranger?
Oh.
Nah,
Well,
Ranger's still safe.
Doesn't have a
Do you
contract.
think he doesn't have a contract past next year? And
I
I'm
think
like,
Ranger's safe.
Someone
you
might
think
throw
he's
the
safe?
bag at him.
You think he's safe to be a Philly?
Yes.
I don't know.
I don't know. I really don't know.
He's not the safest.
What if Painter next year, like, really shows, okay, he's ready. He's going to be a part of this rotation. Then they won't need him. They won't use him.
Interesting.
And you've already
Like,
got
I'm just
Sanchez
saying-
locked down.
Exactly. You lock down Sanchez early. And
for very cheap.
Yeah, but I wonder if the Sanchez lockdown honestly was almost like tea leaves to tell us
That I had that thought when that move came down.
that they may not be locking
it's
down.
so little money, though.
Well, yeah, but
but
it's
they-
not
like,
about that. It's about going through the process. Like, wouldn't you want to spend, even though it's little money, wouldn't you want to take care of Ranger first?
They locked down.
Yeah.
They locked down Sanchez.
Well, yeah, but you know what? Ranger's agent might go, hey, you keep pitching like this, you're going to get a lot more money.
Yeah, but right
Exactly.
now he's cost himself money.
Well, exactly. Right. So, like,
This year, yeah.
You know, I think it's a,
Okay, it's just so you say get her the Sanchez.
the Suarez.
I mean the Suarez.
I say yes.
Sure. I mean, sure.
I was
why not?
surprised. I said you can't pick any of these. She goes, well, I don't want any of the old dudes.
Well, I convinced my
She
buddy
knows-
one time to get a New York Guardians XFL jersey. I'm not a good person to ask, should you get this jersey?
I would never suggest anyone to get
I say yes to
a
everyone.
jersey from a fake football league.
By the way, our buddy E-Rock says hello.
What's
who
up,
is
E-Rock?
who is the most fantastic DJ and social media entrepreneur
awesome, man.
around Eagles season. And he looks forward to seeing us soon. His son Jace was with us last night at the Philly Sports Trips tailgate. Jace, at 9 years old, the kid's going to be a star.
Damn right.
Going to be a star.
I can see it. Look, with those jeans, I can see it, man.
No, he's going to eclipse Dad
Type of
by a
jeans was he
mile.
wearing?
There you go.
Levi's?
All right, coming up next, you're the worst. Coming up next, CBS Sports. I told you they did an article on the breakout player on every team in the NFL this season. I'll give you a couple outside of the Eagles, but I want you guys to tell me who you believe the breakout player will be for the Eagles, and then I'll tell you who they say. All right, so think about that during the break. It is Kincade and Salciunas on this Wendy's Thursday morning. Still another gift card to give away at some point this hour. You don't want to miss it. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Phillies snapped the loose.
Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. John's telling me.
Worst people in the world.
John's telling me about
the offshore.
Can you believe there's betting on the Little League World Series? Yeah, maybe I made a play yesterday.
Hell yeah, dude. Like, seriously to me, offshore books taking action on the Little League World Series. You don't think that could be for corruption?
Not that you paid attention, but Mexico, a no-no in game one yesterday. They beat Aruba 2-0.
I saw the picture afterwards. Him and his wife looked very happy. They looked extremely happy. Dude, they say his kid's coming up in the system, too.
The one really kid, because, in the Little League World Series, there's the pitch count limit, and if you pitch, I forget the exact rules. If you pitch 65 pitches, you can't pitch for like 3 or 4 days. But if you're dominating a team, and if you only throw like 25, you can be used again in like the next game. So I forget the exact rules, right? So this kid yesterday from Mexico was firing 77.
It's unbelievable.
Jesus Christ.
And this is the 45-foot pitching mound. This is not 60 feet, 6 inches. This is 45 feet. He's throwing 77. So they did
and he's 12, right?
Yeah, according to the birth certificate.
Exactly.
So, dude.
Exactly.
Not every kid is Danny Almonte.
No, they're not. And that's it. Look, it's every country cheats, but there's cheating in every one of these things.
Well, some kids are also 12, but then they turn 13 in the middle of the season, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But either way, he's not 17. Like, the kid's like 5'2".
Throwing gas, though.
Right, exactly. So I don't care what his age is. If he's 5'2", throwing 77 on a 45-foot mound, they end up doing the equivalent. Equivalent is a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. Imagine you're little Timmy, 11 years old, and you're a real 11-year-old. To John's disbelief of everybody.
They're saying out in Williams.
And you're seeing 99-mile-an-hour cheddar for the first time in your life.
I take him deep.
You ain't taking squat deep.
They say they're closing that Mexico team. They've been closing the bars every night in Williamsport. All 2 of them.
They have bars in Williamsport?
All 2 of them.
They probably do. You could ask Scott.
Ask Scott.
All right, so CBS is they did something. I like this kind of stuff. Who they believe will be the breakout player for each team in the NFL. And there's a couple of them that I really like. Like in the NFC North, they have Jameson Williams for the Lions, as long as he stays off the betting apps, right? Yeah. Like this guy is very talented.
Isaiah Rodgers says sure thing.
They had a podcast together.
Jeez, they did.
Giving you picks.
Exactly.
There's a lot of these guys are second-year players like Jackson Smith and Jigba. I don't know if he's actually going to be a breakout player. He has DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett to play with. Like, I don't know if he has the space to be a breakout player. Your cousin, Dalton Kincade.
Yes.
I think that's
spelled wrong, but it's all right.
Yeah. But I think that's a great pick because now that Stephon Diggs is gone, Josh Allen might have to utilize him a little bit more. Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback of the Patriots, who was tremendous up until his injury last year. I actually wanted the Eagles to draft him 2 seasons ago. Obviously, I'm not disappointed with Jalen Carter by any means, but that was a guy that I wanted. So for the Eagles, I'll just tell you who they have, and then I would like to get your answers of who you believe the breakout player would be. They have Cam Jurgens on here as the guy that will be the breakout player for the Eagles, the guy that not many people know about. He's playing a new position. Oh, by the way, the eyes will be. I know that you keep on saying nobody cares about centers, but because Jason Kelce's become such a phenomenon, like everybody knows who Jason Kelce is at this point, there might be a lot of people that are going, all right, who's the guy that's replacing Jason Kelce? Let's keep some eyes on him. And they believe that he's going to play pretty well. And as do I.
I think that's why he won't be. I think that's the exact reason that he won't be. Because everybody is going to be looking to nitpick every single deficiency he potentially has.
Okay. The bar's set too high.
So yeah, because all of a sudden they're gonna act like they know what centers do and pay attention to centers.
They snap the ball.
Of that. I don't believe he will be the guy, but I do. Because I think it'll be because of the scrutiny.
Okay, all right. Then who's your guy?
I think the guy who is going to be the breakout player, and it's too easy to say they're going to. If they say Jalen Carter, he already broke out last.
Right.
But to me, I think it's going to be Jordan Davis.
I was leaning that way too.
Jordan Davis is mine.
Maybe. I don't know. I think when Jordan Davis is at his best, it's very hard to notice his impact.
So I was just about to say, I'm not calling you a hypocrite.
You can if you wish.
But you say, oh, people are all of a sudden going to pretend like they know what a center does. Jordan Davis isn't a defensive tackle that gets sacks.
Yeah, but he's a guy who he can blow up games. He can be a guy who can blow up games, and I think that's noticeable enough.
the casual football viewer is not noticing that. The casual football viewer is not realizing that Jordan Davis swallows up double, sometimes triple teams, which then allows other guys to make plays.
I'm going to.
I'm saying the casual.
No, I think if the casual fan watches games, I think there's enough when they break down every play with a replay. Jordan Davis's impact is going to be amplified.
Normally, all right, let's say there's
that pocket's really collapsing tonight. Why is it collapsing?
That might be a one-time moment.
Fletcher Cox got a lot of airtime.
Right, but you know when they show a replay, the replay they show first is the sack. Like they don't show and here's Jordan Davis taking up 2 offensive linemen.
No, but they show a replay on every time a runner gets stuffed right up the middle, or when the pocket's breaking down. That's usually a story.
Right, but there are reasons the stars are the stars. Like how many star defensive tackles have we seen?
Yeah, not a ton.
We've seen a handful, and they're normally guys that get after the quarterback.
Right, like Aaron Donald.
The game is not appreciated from that position, and for better or for worse, it's not about skill level. It's about recognition for these breakout players.
Is that a word?
Yeah, I believe so.
I didn't know that, recognition. I'm going to add that.
Yeah, I think that's
let him flow.
You learned that over.
Let him keep on going.
His semester.
It's like the Animal House. Let him keep going. All right, let him keep going.
Oxford, exactly. His semester at Oxford.
I think a breakout player candidate is someone who's going to be. It's easily recognizable. They're making an impact. I think it'll be harder for Jordan Davis.
There you go.
Well, then who's your answer?
Quinyon Mitchell.
So you're going straight up Rook.
Straight up Rook. I think he's going to, if he gets the opportunity to play, which it seems like he's going to because of the Cooper DeJean setback, I think Quinyon Mitchell is starting in the secondary somewhere. Whether it's outside corner, nickel seems more likely at this point, and I think he's going to be an immediate impact defensive back.
Okay, I like that. And I will give you a name. Now, I feel weird saying it because I think he's really good. But statistically, I think he can be better. And it fits right in your belief of this offense.
Who is it?
Dallas Goedert.
Okay, and look, this should be Dallas Goedert's best season ever
breakout
because of the offensive coordinator. But I think in NFL circles, he's already considered.
I know that, but
he's considered what, top 5?
No, I think he's been 8. Right,
like top 8.
We've done a couple of these, tight end lists. I think he's in the top 10.
Yeah.
But he's also underutilized.
I mean, he's been totally underutilized.
And look, it's hard not to be, not just forget offensive schemes. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts' legs, DeAndre Swift last year, and now you add Saquon Barkley this year. It's kind of hard not to be underutilized. And at some point, you might say Devontae Smith's underutilized. There are some games where he's underutilized, but it's because A.J. Brown has 15 catches for 600 yards.
Like the opener a couple years ago where he got no catches.
Right, but then the next week, he
goes
blew
off.
up. Right, exactly. But Dallas Goedert, maybe from a consistent, from day one to the final week of the regular season, I think he's going to have better numbers, which may put him on the map even more nationally.
That would be good recognition, which is now it says in Merriam-Webster.
Recognition.
It says
recognition.
Recognition is a word.
Hey, no,
it is a word. Now here's what it says.
Leave me alone, Salciunas.
In the Oxford Dictionary.
I wasn't the one that was saying, "Oh, is that a word?"
And I've never heard the word ever. And it says in the Oxford Dictionary. And you went to Oxford for one semester.
That's true.
It says the action of recognizing. You can't use the word to define the word, right?
I don't know. You're thinking
I'm just saying.
Too much.
You Oxford people.
It is a true word.
Connor went to Oxford. So for a semester.
All I know, our listeners are very smart. I'm not, so you have to talk down to my level.
Okay.
All right. So
you're going to notice the players more that are breakout candidates.
When you say Oxford, I think of oxtail stew. Like I don't think of a dictionary.
I thought you were going to say Oxford, Mississippi. All right, we're off the rails. Bottom line, Goddard, I don't think he could possibly be the guy because we talk about recognizing what you're doing. He's going to be the 4th or 5th option on this offense, even if he has a great year. That's just not enough to be a breakout guy to me. Jameson Williams, the first guy you brought up, that's a dude who could be a top option for Detroit alongside Amon-Ra St. Brown. There's a chance that those guys have even seasons if he plays up to his draft pedigree.
He's a very good football player. It's just he's been hurt and he's been on the books.
Dallas Goedert's very good, but he's never going to get the recognition that A.J. Brown gets, Devontae Smith gets, Saquon Barkley gets, Jalen Hurts gets. It's not going to be possible. There's not enough pieces of the pie. And that's no fault on him.
Okay.
No, I mean, it is. It's going to be. That's an interesting one to watch.
The other
Because
names
we have quite a few options.
Yeah. Oh no, we definitely do. The other names, by the way, that they mentioned in the NFC East from the Giants: Jason Pinnock, the safety, Commanders linebacker. I wanted the Eagles to sign this guy, Frankie Louvu. He was with the Panthers. He's a good football player.
I didn't know enough of him, but when I read about him, I was like, okay,
he's a good
I
football
loved him in The
player.
Grinch Stole Christmas.
The last guy for the Cowboys. Is this an all-time football name? He missed his entire rookie season last year because he had a torn ACL during training camp. DeMarvion Overshown.
That's a a key appeal.
I ain't messing with an Overshown. Like, if your last name's Overshown, I'm not messing with you.
You could be overexposed.
Yeah.
Overshown. Is that a word, Connor? At Oxford?
That's a name, so.
Possibly.
All right, coming up next, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. Also, our final $50 Wendy's gift card will go out the door at some point next segment. Tell exactly when to call the contest lines. Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Tyrone Johnson.
It doesn't seem to matter who the Phillies play. The problem isn't the opponent anymore. The problem is...
Kincade and Salciunas on this beautiful Thursday morning.
Oh, beautiful day for golf.
All right, yeah, you're going out there. Good for you. I'm happy for you. How about we do Connor, pick a number.
All right, Schwarber had how many RBIs last night?
He had 4.
Let's go with 4.
And we also have given away to caller number 1, 2, and 3, and now 4. Caller number 4 to the contest line, 215-263-0975. We'll win our 4th and final $50 Wendy's gift card for today. Wendy's new Saucy Nugs are taking nugs to a whole new level. Choose from one of 7 different flavors. For a whole new way to nug, it's got to be Wendy's, open until midnight or later. At participating U.S. Wendy's, hours may vary by location. Caller number 4, 215-263-0975. It is time now for the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3.
Now, the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
We're following a Phillies victory. Believe it or not, they can still put things in the win column with a win over the Marlins last night, 9-5. But I will tell you the truth, John.
What?
When they were down 3-0 in the first, I was ready to go scorched earth, dude. I believe Connor Thomas said, and I quote, "I'm not coming into work tomorrow." This was when they were down 3-0, Mr. T-shirt.
Hey, this is a button down. Be nice.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. I'm always confident about my shirt. They're down 3-0. He didn't want to come into work. And you know
That's
what?
pathetic.
John, I didn't either.
Well, I will tell you that I've documented proof that I said Philly's going to win 9-5.
You said that?
They were down 3-0, and I turned and I said, they're going to win 9-5. Bats are coming alive tonight.
The Eagles are in Foxborough taking on the Patriots tonight, preseason week number 2. And once again, we don't know what the plan is. Last week, we thought that the starters may play, but we weren't sure because Nick Sirianni never announced it because for whatever reason, we had Jeff McClain on earlier this week. He said, I don't know why they keep everything such a secret. I get during the regular season competitive advantage, certain things, even though I do think Nick Sirianni is a little overboard with it, but fine, whatever. If you think there's any bit of an advantage that the team can get from any of your answers, so be it. It's the freaking preseason, dude. You don't need to keep things close to the chest. And everybody said that the weather was fine. He blames the weather condition for the offense not playing, but then doesn't care that the defense played. It's all a bunch of baloney, whatever. But the same story is this week. We won't know until I guess the game starts about whether the stars are playing or not. Remember, last week they warmed up. They were in pads before the game against the Ravens.
And I have, let's put it this way. I was told by someone yesterday that it was a surprise to various members of the Eagles offense that they did not get to take the field.
From inside the birds, and of course, everything that it does here at 97.5 The Fanatic. That, of course, the great Andrew DeCecco joins us. Andrew, do you believe, based off of what you saw in the joint practice, will we see starters in the preseason game tonight?
Well, based on the 2-hour-plus practice, and it was intense, I primarily focused on the defense, but I thought they got a lot of good work, and the offense, it was primarily Jalen Hurts and the first team, and they got a lot of runs. So I think knowing that, Andrew, that you can get that or replicate that in a preseason game. So I have to think just 2 days later, that work would suffice. So I would be surprised to see them in tonight's game.
The question is, John, do they play tonight? And do you want them to play tonight? Let's face it, this is the last chance. They're not going to play in preseason week 3. We know that for a fact, that they're not going to play. Well, I guess I shouldn't say fact, but I have a strong feeling that they're not playing in preseason week number 3. Are they playing in preseason week number 2? I'm going to guess that they're not because of the joint practice thing. And they talk about how much the joint practice is just as valuable, if not more, than the preseason game because it's a controlled environment, which I hate because NFL games aren't controlled environments, but whatever. But you have heard enough that they value these joint practices more than the preseason games at this point in the NFL, whether you agree with that decision or not. I know you want to play with the starters tonight. I know you do.
No, there's not a question because you know what I would like? Again, one thing I value is consistency. It's the number one thing I value. And this is exactly what he said they was going to do this year. He said he was going to change things up. You know, if I had it to do over again, I would have played the starters last year.
He said after the Patriots game last year.
You ain't playing the second worst team in football this year to start your season. Yeah. You're playing a team that some people are picking to make to the NFC title game. So, to me, I want Nick Sirianni to be consistent, and I want the starters to have their series.
And if not for Kyle Schwarber in the Grand Slam, I don't really know how this game plays out. But he hits the Grand Slam, and it changed everything. I'm just saying I'm happy that they won a freaking ball game. And then I saw Kyle Schwarber at a Grand Slam, and the place went nuts. They are not, last night was the turning point. No, I can't say turning points anymore. I've seen a couple turning points, and it goes right back to where they were.
I need to see a Wheeler effort tonight. He's been amazing. He's a top 5 ERA guy.
Yeah.
I need to see him keep this rolling.
All right, that's the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3, the 3 best minutes from today's show. Coming up next, don't forget the Mike Missanelli Show, Bill Colarulo and Ray Dunn. Ray Dunn here at the studio. Mike and Bill are on the road. So the Sixers doing something very cool. They basically redid the basketball courts at Roberto Clemente Park in Fairmount. And I saw a photo of it about a week or two ago. I don't even know if it was like public yet. Clearly, you could tell when there's construction being done. But I saw like the Sixers logo all over the park, and it looks beautiful. So a beautiful basketball court at Roberto Clemente Park in the Fairmount area. And Mike and Bill will be doing the show from there today. I'm guessing it's like the ribbon cutting ceremony or something. So Mike and Bill will be doing the show from there today. So that's pretty damn cool.
Mikey may be out hooping it up a little bit against Bill, a little one-on-one.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Mike draining some threes.
I've seen the jumper.
Bill trying to physical him up.
Yeah.
I imagine Bill's trying to beat him up a little bit in the paint. Mike taking it outside and saying, try to stop this.
Listen, man, we may not have the best grip strength on this show, but I'll take our hoopers against anybody.
Not with me.
Well, you'll come off the bench.
Is the grip strength your Super Bowl?
Is that it? Is that really it?
Andrew,
I've not heard grip strength in my life.
Never.
And then all of a sudden, this week, I've heard you say it 6,000 times.
Andrew, everything is my Super Bowl.
It is.
Everything.
That is correct. Except finding out when your brother's wedding time is.
Yeah, exactly.
Planning,
or
not my
knowing
Super
when you're
Bowl.
playing, or knowing when your plane's leaving.
Hashtag not my Super
Hey,
Bowl.
support life-saving cancer research. Join us and our generous partners, FT Young Heating and Air Conditioning, and make a donation today to the American Association for Cancer Research. You can do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR because cancer research saves lives. Got my 9-month checkup today. Heading over to see Dr. Sprandio,
Good
get
luck,
the blood
brother.
test.
Good luck, buddy.
Well, I got a week till I find out the results, but it'll be fun to see everybody.
All right, well.
Great people.
Yeah, they are great people.
And then I'm playing golf at Glen Mills, and it's going down there.
That's a lot. You're going to have a lot more fun with that, I imagine.
I promise.
You and I will be back here tonight.
Yeah, we got the pregame show tonight.
I'll be listening. No, I'll be on the course.
Yeah, do whatever you want to do, man. It's your life. Phillies lineup, is it the same as it usually is?
It better not be.
I think it will be.
We'll react to it tomorrow. But you have a great rest of your day. Mike Missanelli Show coming your way next. Again, live from Roberto Clemente Park in the Fairmount area. A new Sixers court being built there, or has been built there. It looks beautiful. So if you're in the area, it's a beautiful day outside. Walk by.